flow of momentum. But if there's any team that can do it, it could be RPG. Just remember back to 2017 when they were the only team to take off maps consistently of SPT when nobody else in the league could.
That's who they are, RPG. They are the team that will lose the entire season and then beat SPT. And every time they have played against CE, it's usually in some way exciting. Either a very exciting stomp we saw once, or really interesting and strange back and forths. So we are looking forward to this, but I think we might be leaning potentially more towards the interesting picks by CE side because they are playing on a different level compared to RPG.
Definitely true. And one of the major weaknesses we saw CE suffer from last phase, it was the drafting. And ever since they entered 2018, it really looks to me like they've worked on they've worked on that weakness really, really well and really, really hard. Because with the change of roles, maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable. Maybe they feel like we know what that means, Tetcher.
It's an alooful Genji, and I'm interested about the ETC ban. I see an interesting ban by CE there. It's still good, but as a first ban, it's a little bit less usual.
Now, RPG is already going to send their prayers to the higher forces of the Nexus because it is the golden alooful Genji unleashed once more.
Did these guys just pre-draft here? They're going so fast. As we see Greymane and Tyrael. We've seen two scary Tyraels from CE. One from Zuyu and one from Wind.
And that's the cool thing about CE as well. With the transition from ranged assassin to bruiser for Zuyu, we now have an incredibly threatening frontline who could interchange heroes at any given point, similar to SPT actually with Soap and Misaka there. So as you said, it could be a Tyrael played by Wind, it could be a Tyrael played by Zuyu. Both of those players are mechanically incredibly powerful, and that's exactly what you need to be when playing Tyrael.
And they even have a little bit more flexibility in there in the form of KTY. They're technically newest member as of last season, but it really works out for them every time.
It really does. So, what are you going to put against that? The Genji is already a strong statement, basically. Lucio, however, could sometimes actually be the counter remedy to that. If a well-placed or well-timed sound barrier denies the Dragon Blade value, you're in for a good fight. However, the Kase once again doesn't seem to make it through against Greymane and Genji, who is somewhat dependent on his auto attacks. It's a logical decision.
You're talking about CE's drafting at the start. They have... the biggest gap we just had was that Illidan ban. CE have gone from potentially the worst drafters in the game to the quickest, and it still looks good. They know exactly what they want.
Now, quick doesn't always have to mean good, but you're definitely right. It just shows the confidence and the preparation they bring to every single match.
Unless you're speedrunning, in which case quick does
that is definitely good, yeah. And yeah, let's see. I mean, CE is still holding the record for the quickest game in China with that Sylvanas Brex Solar. Not in the world anymore.
Due to NA. But Uther coming in here, double support Valor coming in again. Double support Cassium could have been an option if it hadn't been banned out. Double Greymane's taken. Some Valor, I don't mind it so much in the situation of all the other heroes basically banned.
And at this point, you have to ask yourselves, is RPG ready? Is RPG prepared for this meta? Are they really up to what needs to be done in 2018? Because if you had given us the exact same draft last year, 2017 HGC China Phase 2, we would have been like, yep, that's a perfectly solid draft. You know, double support, Vala hyper carry.
Yeah, Wang's probably on the Anubarak. I can't see how this could go wrong, but we're not entirely sure anymore, basically.
Alright, it's really cool to see the two clashes collapse. The two styles, clash once again, though.
Yeah.
Because, as we said, it's a relic from the past, RPG's team composition that is, and it is the new style for CE here. It's almost like two martial artists fighting it out. An old sensei, 80 years old, against a fresh Bruce Lee kid, who's going to make it out on top.
Yeah, including the, you were talking about the new style, including the newest reworked hero in the form of Tyrael. Complete talent rework, and once again, China, they play on the live patch. This is the brand new Tyrael.
Very good point. The only thing that is currently still disabled is Blaze, because he's still too new for teams to have practiced with a lot. However, Blaze, as far as I'm aware, will be allowed on the weekend on the HGC EU, Korea, and NA leagues.
So.
Yeah,
I think if he gets picked. I have my doubts, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet by Hasubs who was really excited about it, but immediately there were some responses, but are we going to see him though?
Yeah, probably not, is the answer to that. I will be interested to see patch notes, is what I will say about Blaze. For now, we await the beginning of game number 1 in this this 2-game series between CE and RPG. Can CE extend their lead at the top of the table, or can RPG sneak out a win and try and remove themselves from the bottom of the table?
Yeah, there's actually a significant amount of pressure on the shoulders of CE because SPT, their rivals, they won earlier today with a clean 2-0. So they need to pick it up, or they need to pick up the pace and draw it out as well. Now, CE, let's see. A Luful on the Genji, infamous Genji player now. Wind, oh, that was really quick. We're going to have Wind on the Tyrael, and we're going to switch it over to RPG.
On RPG, we have Chicken on the Sonya, Wang on the Anubrak, Sar on the Lucio, Infinity on the Uther, and Loktar is playing on that Valor.
Very, very correct here. Now, can that old school double support Vala style triumph over what seems to be the new style for CE, at least with that Tyrael, with the Genji on a Luful? And already pay attention to that golden ninja in the backline. He was turning on the heat yesterday. Let's see what he can do this time around. A brawl near the Vision Tower. Classic China moves left and right. And KTY, by the way, playing the Grey main.
Yeah, it's very weird to not see Zuyu on a Grey main, but that's what happens when you basically swap all of your players to a different role bar one. The only player still on his original role from CE is actually going to be their tank player, Wind.
Yeah, and of course we have to mention 365 as well, who's a completely new player for the CE roster now on the main support role. And with all the hype being around Luful and Zuyu and Wind as of late, I think we can't forget about 365, who has actually been able to keep everybody safe and sound yesterday, especially with great Uther plays, I think.
Completely agree. He's definitely got the cleanses, and that's sort of move number 1 for a support player, if you are able to pull off a really good cleanse. Now, Chicken and Loktar moving up towards the Mercenary camp, looking to try and make this timing happen. Same thing happening for CE with the double Wolf camp combo, with Greymane and the Rhaegar taking that down.
Yeah, and you can definitely see how Chinese teams, they like to raise those mercenary camps right now. They've really tried to utilize the spell, armor, aura from those night camps to the best of their, best of their ability, and really early on in the game to maybe get this early advantage over their opponents. Now, KTY left alone, but here are reinforcements. Wind, Luful, and 365 join the fray.
Infinity arrives also for RPG, though. 4 versus 3 in favor of RPG, but Dahaka Zuyu tunneling in, misses the drag. Chicken beginning the whirlwind, moving through. But the fact is, the RPG Mage Mercenary has just been killed by Eldrin's Might. They are no longer gaining the effect of the spell shield, whereas CE is. Chicken getting focused down, whirlwinding himself to freedom, though.
Overall, though, a really good job by RPG. It was basically a 4 versus 5 situation against them because Wang here on the Anubrak was chilling in the bottom lane for the most part, so nobody ended up dying, nobody ended up sacrificing their lives in vain, and they do lose a tower here, that is true, but they should be able to clear off these mercenaries right now because the Haka is already back in the middle.
Chicken continuing that whirlwind. Finally, they will finish off the mage minion from CE, so they do actually take down a tower, but RPG still in a reasonable position.
Alright, so can RPG keep up the pace here, keep the momentum going? I think that's exactly what they need. Oh, the tower is going to make it out alive with 5 HP. There we go.
Retreat ping on it as well. Run tower, go back to base and heal. But it is unable to, for it is stationary. As we see Wang moving into position to try and fight over this middle temple.
Alright, in the meantime, we see a classic Sonya build for China, at least not going for the focused attack, not going for the auto attack talent build in general, but going for a more self-sustained build with the health funnel later on most likely, and the cooldown reduction, of course, as well.
Wang holding the position. Eldrin's Might coming in, but as is Luful looking from above, begins to launch those shurikens. Zuyu from behind, they're looking for Sar, but he's
nice stun.
What a beautiful double stun, and down goes KTY. RPG, 1 kill to 0. They're looking for more. They want Wind. Are we finally going to get to see Tyrael straight active? No, we won't.
No trade value here, by the way. One of the greatest weaknesses of Wind on that Tyrael. Now, Wang going for a cheeky engage over the air. With Wang going down here, that means Genji's going to have a reset. There goes another Swift Strike. Is he going to make it out alive? Yes, he is.
Yeah, a bit of an air ball there. Too greedy. RPG trying to make the most of the advantage they gained with that kill. But unfortunately, with a new Brack whiffing that burrow charge, it is going to be CE who will claim the final shots of this mid-temple, unless Lucio can make a play here, which looks like he's trying to do. No, he's out of there.
Yeah, he was trying to make a play happen here, but to no success, unfortunately. And very unusual mistake here by Loktar as well, missing a point-blank hungering arrow on his opponent, who was literally standing right in front of him. So maybe the nerves are starting to get to him. However, they also rotated towards the bottom, RPG that is, which is a nice move because the Siege Giants were already building up a lot of pressure with the help of Zuyu's Dehaka. Now Swift Retribution coming in for Tyrael. The level 4 talent, by the way, is the extra armor from Stalwart Defenders. So whenever the Eldrin's Might is out, Tyrael gains 25 armor, and when he teleports to it, he maintains that buff for another 3 seconds.
Yeah, really strong ability if you are going into the backline a lot, which with this composition, he almost certainly is. Very much a backline destruction comp. Dehaka, by the way, taking a lot of damage up here. Chicken with that Poison Spear, with Sar and the speed boost wallowing through, but there's just too much essence to kill off Zuyu.
Yeah, too much self-sustain here coming in from Dehaka, who just used a lot of his essence to stay alive. Now, level 10 is getting closer and closer for CE, but RPG nonetheless, we have seen teams do much worse against CE. By the way, Saz Lucio also shifting away from the standard boombox, going for the good old party mix, which is a quest talent that requires nearby allies to be in the range of his boosts, and eventually it's gonna increase the size, the radius of his W.
Yeah, we actually mentioned previously that Loktar was used as a substitute at BlizzCon when one of the assassin players for the teams could not make it. Sar was also taken by one of the teams, and so was Infinity, both by BTG, I believe. I think we forgot to mention that. Yeah,
very true. If I recall correctly, it was actually CE who played with Sar from RPG, so...
Was it? Because I remember hype about Alufal, maybe? Not sure. I think it might have been, actually, yeah. I think I remember discussing it with Gilly.
No, actually it was RPG who played with Sa, and it was SBT who played with Loktar. There we go.
Yes, and CE, I think they brought... Because they definitely had a substitute.
Yeah, they had Loktar. No, they had Loktar, and SBT had Sa because ZZH, the support, couldn't make it. There we go. Now we got our game right.
Yeah, and Infinity was taken by BTG. There we go. So yeah, you can see, guys, how much, even though they are currently last place in the league, how much RPG was respected by the other teams in China. They are all very individually good players.
Very true. It just needs to click when it comes to team fight synergy. However, they have shown signs of brilliance here in these early game moments already. Infinity now in trouble.
Moving in, Zuyu not able to land the drag. That speed boost once again. Sar keeping his team alive. Good show by RPG. They're a level behind, but they are so far only 1 kill to 1.
Here goes the tongue, and keep in mind it's still a 5 versus 4. Sonya, Chicken is chilling in the top lane, only now making his way down to the bottom. But is the Chicken going to arrive in time? It remains to be seen. Loktar is running dangerously low on mana. Can RPG sustain through that team fight?
Wang has the cocoon available. There's the sound barrier. RPG looking to make the play before Chicken arrives.
Zank is huge.
Zank is very huge. The silence also onto Lucio, preventing a lot of that healing. But Wang still attacking through. Beautiful Divine Shield by Infinity as they're going to try and move back towards their own fort. But with Uther getting dragged, that will be the falling of the Paladin.
The Paladin is still there, though, in the Holy Ghost form. He continues the healing on Sonya, and everybody who's currently low in health. Wind actually dropped really low in that teamfight as well. The Ancestral was prioritized over somebody else. I think it was Greymane. But CE now, of course, with a numbers advantage. 13 is around the corner. The Temple is still in their possession as well. RPG refuses to let go, though.
Alufo continuing to drop the damage. They want to try and kill off Chicken as he's so low here. Wang with the burrow charge, dodging the ton of Zuyu, and this will guarantee the remainder of the temple shots over to CE. But RPG only losing 1 member. They're still gaining value. They're going to try and grab their own mercenary and get back to soaking.
And 13, of course, with the new Tyrael, with the reworked Tyrael, marks a major power spike. He gains access to Holy Ground now at level 13. The duration was slightly nerfed, but still, it is a very, very powerful talent. And we're going to see it picked immediately by Wind here. And now, every mercenary camp, every boss attempt is going to have to be carefully prepared by RPG, because otherwise Tyrael could always be that one menace that steals it away from you.
He absolutely could. Like you said, they have to be so careful. They don't even have any kind of ability like that themselves. No Brightwing Emerald Wind. The closest they have is Cocoon. So that will have to be their go-to ability here. Nice stun onto Wind. The big stun chain onto Wind.
Yeah.
But not enough damage to finish the job.
Not enough damage, and even in the case of an emergency, the Sanctification would be there to keep themselves safely. But you can see the patience by CE. They wait until all of the heroic abilities are already off cooldown, and now it is the time for them to go in.
Good escape by RPG, though. Tsar was keeping the speed boost on for as long as he could, finally dropping the healing at the end, preventing Genji from getting the reset onto Chicken.
Yeah, really nicely done. Sonya had to teleport back there as well because Dahaka was already knocking on the top lane here with his global mechanics and the pushing he can provide. Now, stun onto Alufal, but he's more than safe. The shields, by the way, Justice for All is the talent for Tyrael, providing full shield value to nearby allied heroes, and that's really making a difference in those team fights when you have those hard-engaging, squishy assassins like Raymond and Genji.
Very true. Very useful here coming in. As we to keep them alive. It's actually it looks so different to actually see it on a hero like Genji, the shield, due to the fact that Tyrael has so much higher health. I saw Tyrael press his shield, and Genji got like a big chunk of shield, and Tyrael's was tiny because he just has so much more health relatively wise.
Very true. Here goes the lockdown on Lufol. The Protected is no longer there, by the way, but the Switch Strike gets him to safety. Holy.
The abilities chasing him down, the Lucio auto attacks and the Hungering Arrow, both chasing Alufal the entire way, but the damage just short. But I'm really enjoying the CC train.
Yeah, RPG, considering how, you know, poorly they showed us a display in the earliest stages of the season, they're holding their own. They're doing pretty considerably well. Same talent here now as well. Can they finally turn things around in their favor?
Honestly, I believe if RPG can make it to level 16 without losing too much or dropping too far behind, they can kill Genji, because Redemption will allow them the... Benediction, sorry, will just allow them the double stun, and Genji will go down.
Yeah, Benediction, of course, a huge tool for Uther to really go with that double hammer and locking down Genji. Just that tiny little moment more. Now, Zuyu going in with the ulti from Dahaka.
The blind is good. There's the cleanse. Locktar able to begin shooting once again. They're moving forward. There's the sack. But the sound barrier as well. Both teams trading abilities. I think Divine Shield was actually used over the top. That is a bit of a misplay here. As Saw getting focused. By Lufal, Dragonblade. Ancestral keeps Lufal alive. He does run with the crowd control. Down he goes. But he's able to take down Valor and Lucio in the same breath. Infinity is a little bit in trouble here, getting chased down and taken out.
Yeah, and he basically led the team of CE virtually to the boss. I'm not sure if Infinity should have died on purpose there to maintain his heals through the fight, so his allies could have maybe done a little bit more. Instead, he ran away, bought a little bit of time for CE, and they're now starting this boss with 3 heroes. Actually, the double Dogus are finishing the job, while Tyrael is trying to hold that middle temple just a little bit longer.
Yep, seeing the last couple remainders of the shots, RPG did take most of them, so Tyrael will grab the last few. Here's a little bit of a replay of that fight. You can see Uther is so zoned from his team thanks to the Holy Ground. The great CC, but by that point it's too late with both the Rhaegar actually picking up one of the kills thanks to the swift strike of Genji. And
as you can see, Sonya and Anubrek were both relatively low in health, so maybe if Infinity had sacrificed himself and healed especially Chicken on the Sonya up, she could have continued the fight a little bit longer and maybe get another kill. However, the boss is now pushing towards the bottom lane. The keep isn't really fully healthy anymore. In the temple in the bottom lane also helping up big time. Now, Alufal going in with that last shuriken. He takes out Lucio.
Oh, lovely job by Alufal, sniping Sar away. The keep will fall. The boss is low. Infinity gets demounted. Boss will get taken out, and as long as RPG play this safe, they should be able to prevent any kind of core attempt. And CE know this. You can see them pulling back here.
They're pulling back. Yeah, go ahead.
Respect for their European brethren there. CE, one of their members running a Dignitas banner.
There we go. Much love from China to Europe. Always love to see that. But yeah, what I wanted to say is Tyrael is probably one of the best heroes that allow allies to retreat. Not only does he have the movement speed coming in from his Smite, and Swift Retribution at level 7 even enhances this movement speed provided, but also the Holy Ground can now basically shut down any passage for pursuers. So Tyrael probably one of the most useful characters, especially in the later stages of the game.
Absolutely. It is very scary the amount of things he can do and the amount of areas that actually will act as choke points that we have seen multiple times and will continue to see, especially with Wind being the one playing it.
Definitely true. The Ancestral, by the way, once again, we have to highlight 365's lightning reflexes there. It was so clutch. The save on Genji was so mandatory as well. Without it, I think RPG could have actually dominated that team fight early, because not only would they have been able to kill Genji, but the Ancestral healing would have also been on a 10-second cooldown.
Full retreat for CE here. Wang looking for an opportunity. He has Cocoon. He was looking for 365 there, but with that slowing totem, 365 is out.
This is actually something I want to see to come out by RPG. Like, this was the last moment to fight on even talent tiers, and Dehaka was chilling in the top. So maybe Wang should have used the Cocoon to force an engage by dropping it on somebody in the vicinity, and then with a stun chain by Uther, Benediction, Rain of Vengeance by Vala, maybe they could have forced the issue. Now they're going to have to fight against Stormtail Talons relatively soon. Hold that thought, though.
They're looking for Dehaka. There's the burrow, buying him time. Here comes Wind. He's not getting the sanctification off. They completely split themselves because they don't need the sanctification. The isolation is used onto the Anubrak. Not the best target here as Noctar is dropping low. Sound barrier will keep him alive. Where's the sanctification as the follow-up? Wind's a bit separated from his team here, so he can't actually drop the sank yet. Good cleanse on Wind. There's the sank, keeping Greymane in good position. And the self-used Divine Shield on Infinity also keeps him alive. A back-and-forth fight, Kendrick.
A back-and-forth fight indeed, Tetcher, but 20 is about to hit. So CE, they can take a chill pill, they can go back and retreat and just wait for the Storm tier talent advantage to hit, and then they will try to retaliate onto RPG, who are just very, very tenaciously staying in those teamfights without falling to the Genji, especially by a Luthal here. He must feel very frustrated because this game is not nearly going as easily as yesterday.
They are struggling a little bit, and we did call this RPG. They like to put on a show when they play against CE. Wang moving in, doesn't land the ability, but he is currently a rapid beetle, thanks to that shared exoskeleton. In comes a Luthal. He has to back up, though, thanks to that nice damage output from RPG here. They're trying to fight on the temple. The Cocoon was dropped and immediately gets popped by Greymane as Wang is taken out with the Dragonblade in the backline. This is the fight CE wanted, and they shred the remaining members. Saw, flee,
good luck.
Flee.
Is he gonna make it?
The
Dragonblade is still swinging.
Like it's still going.
Oh!
Can he get it? Can he get it, Jukes? Jukes? Oh, Sound Barrier! He turns it around, trying to kill a Luthal, but finally taken out. That's a full team wipe. And CE move on to the core.
The dragon became a Luthal, a merciless onslaught, gets taken out by the top keep for good looks here. It doesn't even make a difference anymore. CE takes game one in spectacular fashion. Kudos to RPG once again. They didn't go down without a fight, but look at a Luthal there with a cheeky smile. He's having a good time.
A absolute belter of a first game, even 3 levels ahead. CE was struggling in a lot of those fights to overcome that kind of RPG composition. And all it really came down to was like 1 or 2 missed engages from Anubrak, which, to be fair, he was attempting to do almost blind. Yeah,
very true. And I think if there was one thing that RPG could have done better in this game, it was the split-second decision-making of how to, you know, capitalize on the numbers advantage while Dehaka was still pushing somewhere else, forcing an engagement with a Cocoon. I think oftentimes they were a little bit too reluctant, too hesitant to really make that call. But against an opponent who's so spot on in terms of team synergy and mechanics like CE, I can definitely understand why nerves could be an issue there.
Could definitely agree, but once again, RPG, very experienced team. They are nerves could always be an issue with any player, but the majority of the time, RPG, they still are able to make those kinds of plays, and we saw them look really, really strong. That's the best RPG we have seen so far.
Yeah, very true. If it only weren't for CE being in their prime right now, and an absolute stellar performance by them once again, I think they could have taken down most teams. So And I think we can also say that this is probably the best performance of the classic Chinese double support that we saw last year. It wasn't really doing so well all season long here in 2018.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if you're going to double support, Valor is one to do it with because she's the only one that really needs it, I would argue.
Definitely true. And Lucio actually providing a surprising amount of utility and protection there, especially against Genji. But once again, the new Tyrael still, I think, undefeated here. 4-0, 5-0. Because it's basically the same players who keep playing Tyrael over and over again. Yesterday, it was Soa's frontliner. Now it's Wind again. And Wind easily becoming one of my most favorite players in the league, and now Zuyu though. Zuyu, we have to mention the Dehaka plays here. He was baiting in so many reckless moves by RPG over and over again, only to stay alive and drive his opponents crazy.
Did a good job, as well as the 3-man isolation right at the end of the game there that unfortunately I glossed over in the cast, but was a really solid play by Zuyu. I enjoy seeing him on this new role. He is very, very good at it.
He's very good at it indeed. KTY, man, such a rock, such a pillar in the lineup of CE. We never really mention him too much, but that's simply because he never underperforms. He's never the stellar shining figure like Alufo now in that Genji, but he's always there when his team needs him.
Completely agree. RPG going to be taking us to yet another CE 100% win rate map, because they all are. We're going to be heading it to the Tomb of the Spider Queen. RPG yet to find a victory here themselves, but there's always a chance.
It looks like Tomb of the Spider Queen was played extensively during the off-stream matches here, because I can't remember seeing a lot of those matches being broadcasted.
Yeah, we've had one on stream, I think.
Yeah, one on stream, but yet RPG's already 0-3, so can they can they break through that negative trend? I really hope so.
I hope so as well, and this would be another good map for them to play a noob if they want to go down that style again. We could maybe see a little bit of Wang Stitches if they want to. That's fair, if that's fair. CE not wanting to play that on this map, and there we go, Shimada bans.
Shimada bans, and the Greymane already being locked in here. Super solid KTY, we mentioned him very briefly. Could play the hero, but there could also be a Lufel jumping on the Wolfman. However, wave clear is of the essence, and I would love, like, if there's one thing I would love to see from Chinese teams adapt a little bit more on this very battleground, Tomb of the Spider Queen, it is utilize the mages a little bit more. Utilize heroes like Gul'dan, Kalthus, use them a little bit more, because up to this point we're only used to seeing a lot of Jaina and maybe a little bit of Chromie with SBT busting her out today.
That's true. I would kind of agree with you here, as you can see here, Greymane has been picked 6 out of 6 times by CE, by the looks of it, if I'm reading that correctly. So, pretty decent for them.
On this map.
Oh, no, that's on the map, not by CE, that's by everyone. So yeah, Greymane very common on this map. Tyrael has been left completely open for CE if they wanted to go down that style again.
Yep, very true. There's a couple of options here. We see the ETC, and even Tyrael could come on in. This is a Tassadar Tetcher by CE. Probably the one team that has shifted away from double support the most. They're falling back onto their Chinese roots as well. And KTY is their dedicated Tassadar player, if I recall correctly. I
believe so. That's gotta be Tracer, right? I really can't work out any other reason why they would do this so early. Tracer gone. So what do you pick now with this? Do they go for some kind of melee assassin? Do they just rely on the extra shielding for Greymane, sorry? And is it enough?
I mean, we did see a lot of Illidan Tassadar in the past, but teams all across the globe have shifted away from that trend heavily. It is normally only Abathur these days who acts like the pseudo support on an Illidan composition, but Illidan could maybe be exactly what they need. I mean, Illidan is very hard to be kept in check. Nobody really expects it maybe to come out by CE, so an Arthas is not a guaranteed pick. Only if RPG really possesses like good anticipation and prediction skills.
True.
So maybe
it would be our first Illidan if we do see it, which would make me happy.
Yeah. Oh, and finally, and coming out from RPG as well, makes me very, very happy, because they realized exactly what they need. Now, the Johanna traditionally doesn't perform too well in 2018 of HGC, but, and here comes the big but, it is a good hero on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Provides additional wave clear, provides strong rotations, and the Gul'dan, I'm really excited to see that one come out.
Yeah, Gul'dan with Johanna as well. It's very effective. Pulls heroes into the center so Gul'dan can land all those wonderful abilities. Very cool to see. The Gul'dan coming out for the first time. Horrifies could be exactly what RPG need as that sort of game-changing ability
Yep.
As long as they can keep Gul'dan, which is likely going to be Infinity, alive. So it is double support. What's their damage here? What is the use for this Tassadar? Is it just for Greymane? Or do they have other plans?
Let's see. Already good counter rotations here provided.
Jaina, so it's just for the Greymane. Alright, I think they planned on the Tracer, and now they're just going to deal with it.
Yeah, I've never seen a team comp like the one CE is rocking here right now with the Jaina. Of course, she is just, you know, the big hotness in China right now. Yeah. Ironically, because she's a really cool woman otherwise.
Ice puns. Only available on HGC China.
No, but the point I was trying to make is that a Tassadar plus double support Tassadar plus a mage plus a hyper carry is definitely something we're not used to seeing. Normally, we see something like RPG was using earlier, double tank line, double support, and one hyper carry. But I'm really interested in seeing how much CE has worked on this sort of style.
I mean, it's very rare to see anyone work on it these days. It's so uncommon, but it's still very interesting to see at all, at least for the start here. So, what are we going to see from RPG? They bring out the Tychus against a solo tank. I can only assume this is just for kiting abilities and the Odin.
To be honest, I like Tychus more against a single tank line than against a double front line because...
Can't juggle.
Exactly, they can't juggle the damage that well, and you can get much more value from the bigger they are, especially if ETC wants to make a move and he gets chucked down to 50% health and has to retreat once again. So I'm actually going to be honest with you, Tetra. I think the RPG draft is looking almost more solid than what CE brought to the table here.
I am not so sure. Like, for starters, CE, I agree with you, CE's draft is strange, but I have more belief in the Tassadar than I do in the solo tank Johanna.
Okay. Well, she does have the Sonya to provide a little bit of fellow tanking, but you're right.
That has not helped in the games we have seen before. In fact, those two are almost exclusively picked together, and it doesn't help.
You're definitely right. You're definitely right. So is CE going to be doing just fine with the Tassadar Mage solo tank ETC, or can RPG finally switch things up and break the trend, the negative trend that they had been suffering from in the entire time? I gotta say, though, Chicken's defense here in particular, his Sonya looked very, very good. I definitely want to give him a lot of credit there. He did have wonkier performance in the past.
Indeed, he's shown worst heroes, which begs the question why he keeps prioritizing the Dahaka so much when he has that hiding in his belt. For now, we are loading in to game number 2 between CE and RPG. Spawning on the left, currently top of our table, it is Challenge, with a Lufel on Greymane, Wind on ETC, KTY playing on the Jaina, 365 on the Rhaegar, and Zuyu is playing the Tassadar.
And currently down 0-1 is RPG in the red trunks, with Chicken on the Sonya, Johanna being played by Wang, Saz playing Uther, Infinity on that Gul'dan for the very first time in HGC China 2018, and Loktar on Tychus. Now, stronger wave clear, I think, especially in the early game, definitely on the side of RPG. Tassadar will catch up later, especially when he completes the Sign Fusion quest and gets double storms at 16. But for now, if they play it well, RPG that is, they can definitely utilize their heavy wave clear advantage early on.
Indeed they can. Now, Wind eats a spear, gets a double stun in exchange, though. Jaina drops some good damage onto Chicken, but Wind comes out worst. And Loktar getting a nice 3-mana overkill there with his Q, doing lots of damage.
Now, Uther, traditionally speaking, isn't really the best support for Gul'dan, since he could lack from mana issues, or he could suffer from mana issues, and he could have those longer cooldowns as well. However, he provides good protection after level 10. But normally you're used to seeing Gul'dan shine really with heroes like Stukov, heroes like Morales, who basically have very low mana cost and good cooldowns as well. Now, Infinity needs to be careful. There goes ETC. There goes the Jaina Burst. Can they bring down the Warlock?
The slow from Zuyu trying to keep it in. Storm doesn't kill him. Oh my god.
That was as close as it can be here for Gul'dan. Really, really close.
Indeed, it was. Luckily, though, they were able to, he was able to escape as we see this mercenary camp being raided by CE.
Alright, mercenaries coming through here. Chicken makes it alive, makes it out alive as well. Zuyu providing shields now on a Lufel. And a Lufel, I'm really excited to see his first Greymane game on camera, because up to this point, we almost... Oh, wait, did we actually see one in the early stages, or was it always Genji?
On what hero, sorry? His Grey Main? Yeah, we did see a Grey Main.
We did see one Alufal Grey Main game? Okay.
Yes.
My mistake then.
Definitely saw that. We saw a Hanzo, we saw a Grey Main, and we saw Genji.
Here we go. So in terms of builds, we don't really see too many surprising elements. Gul'dan going for the Echo Corruption. Sometimes we see Gul'dan players switch it up and go for the Fell Flame build, especially on Braxis holdout, which we have yet to see in China, by the way.
True. Rest in peace, Praxis. We miss you very much. Although there is also Warhead, which is less missed. As we do see the double Wolf build coming in for Rhaegar and Jaina. Not going with the standard Q-based build. Now, Ken, what are the benefits of the particular build Jaina's gone for?
So, especially mana regeneration is going to be really huge with the Arcane Brilliance here at level 4 for Jaina. That means whenever she attacks a target currently affected by her Frost Chill, she's going to get a little bit of mana back. And that is very useful, especially in those rotations on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So mostly teams will start losing rotations and will take a lot of damage in the buildings in consequence is when they're forced to either go back entirely to the Halls of Storms or if they're going to have to use healing fountains all the time.
Yeah, and that's going to be even easier for Jaina to land those hits for the Arcane Intellect due to the fact she has Lingering Chill at level 1. So this is the idea of the build, just constantly be getting mana, constantly be doing damage without having to rely on just poking down an individual hero, which you're only really going to be hitting Sonya and Johanna when you're against this kind of comp.
Yeah, very true. There's another talent called Fingers of Frost that also gives you a little bit of mana regeneration, but it's a little bit more unreliable because it also causes you to be dependent on healing globes. Now, healing globes can be obtained here on this battleground more quickly than on some of the others, but still, I like the safe build. Oh, hold a minute. Alufal going in deep here behind enemy lines.
Too deep. Where are you going to run to, Alufal?
Oh, shield is good.
He is actually making it all the way around. Zuyu coming to help. Sars trying to chase him down. He does not have the Holy Shock build, though, so he is unable to chase Greymane to his death.
Yeah, I definitely saw Alufal die there. He went in so recklessly without anyone of his team following up, really, but you know, he just played a game of Ring Around the Rosies, and he managed to get to safety after all with the help of Tassadar. Now Loktar in a little bit of a hassle here. Johanna stepping in to assist him, but they don't have the damage to kill anyone. RPG, that is.
Yeah, he was able to turn around and do a lot of damage with that overkill, so good to see. And I really hope this is not going to be a theme we see from Alufal. He's been playing heroes who have been doing very well in the backline, but we need to hope he doesn't get too overconfident due to the success. Infinity drains through Wind, keeping himself alive, but he's running out of mana, healing, and everything else. He still makes it out, though.
The consume health here by Gul'dan, really consume soul, excuse me, coming in really handily here, using a minion to pop up his health a little bit more, and that was so close. In this case, actually, Uther was Gul'dan's best friend here. Because of the extra armor he provided, he could drain his health back to almost full here and refuse to die. Chicken now, tunnel visioning in. There was only one more choice for him to make, and that is stick with it all the way until the end. But he didn't make it in time. But maybe his sacrifice was in vain. Maybe it bought enough time for his teammates to get the first turn in.
But now we see the consistent denial by Zuyu here with his extra range at level 7. Wind has gone very
damage.
A full corruption, giving not only a huge amount of damage over to Infinity, but a lot of stacks as well. Yeah,
a lot of stacks here. Really well done. We see the level 7 ability power coming in for Gul'dan as well.
Hunger for power.
Hunger for power. He takes a little bit reduced healing by Uther now, which is fine because he's not going to get healed by Uther 24/7 anyways, but his abilities are going to hit a lot harder as a result. And it is actually CE who snuck their way in and delivered the first gem turn, and nice stalling, especially by Tassadar there.
Chicken taking a bit of a longer escape route due to the positioning of Wind, but Wind will find Chicken. There's the Whirlwind, keeping him in the Psy Storm. Very effective, but they're not able to finish the job. So far, only 1 kill in the 6-minute game.
Yeah, definitely true. I mean, Tassadar Zuyu, by the way, playing the Tassadar, not KTY, took a lot of damage, was forced to go back, but in the meantime, we can see how much pressure is being applied on the top, in the middle, and in the bottom here as well.
We see those towers taken out very quickly. Johanna doing a good job frontlining. Who died? Sonya has somehow fallen.
Chicken is not having the...
How.
best of his games. Yeah, there we go. KTY proving to be quite the menace once again. Locktar, in the meantime, is holding strong in the bottom, but the force wall, he needs to be very careful. Look at the top lane. KTY is coming in with a flank. Here goes the water, Ellie.
The water elemental dropping the slows.
Good luck escaping.
Here. Locktar trying to dance around the tower, realizes he's out of ways to escape, and will go down. And Tassadar gets out just before the last minion falls.
Yeah, that was the best case scenario for any water elemental plays. You catch an isolated target, you have a buddy to assist you, and from there on, it's just a question of time until the permanent slows by the water elemental are going to catch somebody like Tychus, who doesn't really have a long distance engage. And keep in mind that a water elemental moves faster than any hero with basic attack movement speed, excuse me. So even if you have a nice mobility tool to escape, it's eventually going to catch up to you and allow Jaina to take you down.
Yeah, it's scary. Much like real water, it's really hard to stop it, as it does actually. It does chase you down and slows you repeatedly with that lingering chill.
Alright, in the meantime, I think it is time for CE to get another pain, and things could go from bad to worse if Infinity gets caught. The main wave clear source, he is needed to defend against the upcoming onslaught here. Good grenade over the wall using quarterback here, but it's not enough to keep CE at bay. And look at that perfect synchrony as well. 365 going in for the mercenary camp exactly when they need it in the middle. And they could actually run down middle now with the help of that spell armor aura.
They'd have to be careful, though, as level 20 is now available for RPG. We have Wrath of the Berserker, we have the Blessed Shield, the Commandeer Odin, a uncomfortable amount of holding by Gul'dan. We have Divine Storm coming in from Uther here. No Divine Shield, he's trusting in on that Guardian of Ancient Kings he took at level 4, and there, thank God, is that horrifying.
And there we go, Johanna Wang trying to go with a flank here. We see the Divine Storm almost killing Wind here. One more auto attack by the Odin would have been enough.
Horrify was used. This has been the game of near kills so far, as the Force was used, zoning Locktar away from an escape route, but they drop a huge amount of damage onto Zuyu. No deaths in this fight, but a solid defense. But guess who's back? Stage dive, but misses the power slide.
Yeah, just barely missing it, and that could actually cost him a lot of health here. But Wind once again making it out alive, and is now Infinity, who's dangerously low on health. No more minions to sap from with his level 4 town, so he's going to have to go all the way back to the base.
And he shall do so, healing himself back up. Fountain's taken out. Looks like CE still want to try and make some kind of play. They know that the heroics have been burned by RPG, but RPG not willing to let them grab anything. A beautiful power slide. Locktar dashing through and gets out.
Gets out, but at what cost? He can't participate in that fight anymore.
Yeah,
never mind, the quarterback hitting the home run.
He dies, though, due to a cocktail. Infinity is very low in the back. Chicken is trapped behind the force wall, and the chase gets punished. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of CE, unless, yep, you can't iron skin a force wall, as we see Wang going down too.
All right. That came at a pretty expensive cost here for RPG. They lost 3 members. They took out the Rhaegar, the Greymane. But the middle keep is now exposed. The mercenary camp is stoling away under their noses right here. But eventually, CE is going to have to pull back because they're running dangerously low on mana. Wind, that was close here. So I didn't expect to see a cow in the woods there.
Yeah, cow was very, very fond of fields and plains, I guess. I am not surprised, but I would also be surprised. However, we do see the fact that ETC was able to zone so much has given CE ample time to take this mercenary camp. So good zoning by ETC.
And it feels so, or it must feel so frustrating for RPG. They're so close to delivering the pain for themselves. But look at that ambush onto Jaina. Whoa. That is the world class for RPG. Patiently waiting until the trap could snap.
In comes stage dive, though. Locktar has managed to trap himself. You done played yourself, Locktar, as a Luful chases him down. Wait, no, stop, Locktar. He tries to turn it around, drops some damage. He did actually have the healing there, but was not enough. Didn't have enough time to get the full duration and heal himself back up.
Alright, however, this little maneuver allowed RPG to get the pain, and while this may not be the most dangerous pain of all time if you're a CE, it still relieves lane pressure for RPG, and that could be huge. Now they need to wait another 10 seconds until Locktar on that Tychus will be back in the fray. Jaina, by the way, completed the ice block already, which is definitely useful against heroes like Sonya.
would have been really useful a couple seconds ago when she was blown up by Uther and Tychus. Yep. But good, she has a now beautiful dimensional shift.
Oh no!
Oh no, Zuyu, you played yourself. He drops the force wall, shields himself, tries to flee. Sonya's chasing down the slows, but Blessed Shield has to be popped. Chicken, a little bit too far forward. This might be another regretful position by RPG, picking up a kill and losing members in exchange.
You know, Zuyu is all planned. Guys, it was a next level play the enemies couldn't foresee, but now we see a stage dive coming, and Odin is good though. The Divine Storm is hitting hard.
Trying to focus on Luful, but the Ancestral lands. He immediately moves on to Infinity, who is unattended. Body box by Sa, but Razor Swipe straight through. Meanwhile, Wang is dying down below. He will get finished off here. It is now only Sa trying to flee, the one person who could potentially get some value in death, using that pursuit of justice there to get out of dodge. But he, unfortunately, that's still going to be CE picking up 4 kills.
Pretty cool move here. We see a very hammer-centric build by Sa, giving the cooldown reduction a try at level 4, and then, as you said, the Pursuit of Justice providing useful movement speed whenever the hammer goes down. But Zuyu must be like, hashtag worth it. Tactical feeding at its finest. We got 4 kills out of that, and all it took was 1 baiting force wall. I mean, I consider that worth it all day, every day.
Yeah, but yeah, we're going to call it a baiting force wall. That's exactly what that was. But like you said, it worked to perfection. As we see Wind getting CC'd, but able to attack his way through.
All right. In the meantime, blue spiders are making their way. A blue boss, excuse me, is making his way into the top lane. Sa is getting caught this time by a force wall. He ends up falling. The Holy Spirit is still here. But what can he do to keep Johanna alive?
He's going to spam his heals. Remember, he does have that Guardian of the Ancient Kings, but there's no crowd control, just damage landing onto Wang here. And Wind even blocks off the escape route through the gate with the knockback. And now, RPG, Sonya is just split pushing as their top keep is going to die.
Yeah, I think they really want to get a little bit more experience in there, so they get the 16. I think at this point they realize with Uther and Johanna dead, there's nothing in the world they could do to save that top keep. So they're trying to buy every second available. Sonya needs to start going back soon, though.
She needs to hurry. She is porting right now. She's on the way. Johanna back in 7. And with the damage output from the Odin and Infinity, it looks like they...
Oh, Loktar, no!
Loktar, no! The aggressive dash. The armor keeps him alive, though. Guardian of the Ancient Kings. But he will finally drop down here to the face melt. Jada is surviving the engage by Chicken as well, thanks to that nice book. Beautiful Ancestral. Luful will be the one to fall here. Chicken will die in exchange. Wow, actually nice Divine Storm. It's up to Infinity at this point to try and save the game with his damage output, but 365 is still healing up the members of CE.
Infinity keeps it up. It is enough to force back CE eventually, and that beautiful, beautiful Divine Storm by Uther actually bought enough time for Infinity to wreak absolute havoc onto CE. Keep in mind, though, 81 gems still in the bank. They didn't lose a lot of them, despite the fact that Greymane was falling here. But, yeah... If Loktar doesn't really overestimate the amount of mobility he has there and doesn't jump into the stun and into the hurricane provided by the boss, they could have maybe actually held a little bit better. But as it is, still a good hold by RPG. That's exactly what they needed.
Yep, they are in the game. They have lost one keep and the other one is pretty low already down to about 2/3 health. But they're still in the game, and that's the important bit. They have combat mechanics, a good Horrify, good Divine Storm. These are the things that they need in order to try and turn this game around.
All right, an aggressive dash once again by Loktar, immediately punished by the Force Wall.
Good heal, Guardian Ancient King's value, 50 armor onto Loktar, but it's not enough. He is destroyed, and the Horrify, not even enough to kill off Wind here. And RPG, very similar to last game, we're looking so good, but then one moment it all collapses down. However, Infinity once again trying to turn it round with his own damage as Chicken distracts the backline. Infinity is doing work. Wang looking to finish off KTY here. Yeah, Mini Blink. And there's a force wall. The damage for Infinity, not enough. Go for the throw to Luful, picks up the kill.
I mean, the amount of times Wind was close to dying here in this game was just unheard of. Like, at this point, RPG must be like, can this cow even die? Is that, are we still dreaming, or is that actually a reality? But for now, it won't really matter anyways. Jaina is still not here, but it doesn't really matter anymore. RPG only now is Tychus respawning, but the core goes down 40%. 30, 20, and CE defends their pole position in HGC China with a flawless 6-0 record.
Nicely done by CE, really putting on a show for everyone at the moment, winning everything. And the fact is, though, that was the strongest RPG we have seen so far, but it's not even close to the current CE.
Yeah, it's so sad for both Beyond the Game and RPG that against the tip top of the table, they had their strongest showing yet, but in the end, it was still not enough to come out on top here. But definitely a good showing and some really nice drafting adjustment there in Game 2, because I think they had what it takes to win the game in theory.
Very true. They definitely have what it takes, but CE, who has what it takes to beat them at the moment? Right now, it's pretty much just up to SPT, which will be next Wednesday.
Yeah, very true. And that is going to be an absolute nail-biter. The top two teams clashing once more. And if history is going to repeat itself, SPT will have the upper hand because they have been the kryptonite of CE, traditionally speaking. I don't think CE has ever won a series in HGC China against them.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I think there was that three-way tie with E-Star back that we saw. And the only reason that CE placed above SPT was because they were able to beat E-Star and SPT weren't. So it was that three-way thing.
Yeah, very true. Very true. For now, though, it is hard to really make out any weaknesses for CE as well. Yeah. That's the most scary thing about them, in my opinion. If, Zuri doesn't decide to wall himself in on the Tassar, I don't think they're going to have any major bloopers in here. Like, Wind, rock solid as always. Alufal, an absolute menace, actually making a strong claim to becoming the strongest ranged assassin player in the league. And then we have 365, a newcomer to the team, but a stalwart veteran in the league as a whole, and performing admirably well already.
Very true indeed. Now, there's the final stats, 22-4 by the end of that game.
Ouch.
Ouch indeed. Mini ouch.
Who's going to stop CE? We're going to find out later. Maybe next week, some team will have what it takes. But Wind...
It could happen in the games off screen as well.
Could happen to the games off stream, very true. But Wind, I'm definitely 100% agreeing with that MVP vote, because not only did he survive in a couple of those team fights, but he also knew exactly when to flip it over and re-engage on that ETC. He was brought down so low, nobody expected the power slide, and boy did he land a couple of 4-man, 5-man power slides in that game all day, every day.
Yeah, he took 89,000 damage there and barely didn't die once. I think he might have died once overall. Either way, an absurd amount of survivability from the cow.
And all 5 commentators here, by the way, with the exception of Yaya, who is not included, unfortunately, are basically tying things out here with the points in predictions. 7 points each.
Although, she did follow me on Twitter yesterday. Humble brag.
Aww. Aww.
So yes, but yeah, like you said, full scores matched up there, 7 bets on each of them, which is very cool to see. Good job to the Chinese commentators keeping up with the predictions.
Very true. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights of the game here between CE and RPG. In Game 1, it was CE's time to shine with Suyu. Preventing, look at that burrow, look at that heal. He baited so much damage onto him, and then it was Alufal who took the show with Dragon Blades all over the place. Level 20, by the way. Infinite Dragon Blade swings as long as Genji keeps attacking.
See this again. Fast forward. There we go. Get him, Alufal. Chase him down. Dodging. Sound barrier for style points, but at this point there's 4 people here. 5 people actually. There's 365.
Can't run away when the golden Genji is coming for you. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go on another short break. We still have 2 more best of 2s coming right at you. It's going to be very exciting, especially since the next pairings are going to be a little bit less one-sided, because I consider all of those teams to be on the exact same power level. We're going to kick things off here with the one currently getting stronger and stronger against Sunny Lion, one of the 2 newcomers. And the second one, Timeless and his boys from Timeflow are going to face off Soa, so don't go anywhere.
京系列赛总决赛2月1日至2月4日，暴雪游戏频道。Let's burn。
Can I get a bump?
这次中欧对抗赛，我依然选择 all in。
赖皮狗，你之前哪次赢我不是靠耍赖？
单身狗长得丑，没有女朋友，一直靠右手。
吉姆出现了，还2个巨像，打赢了，这什么情况？哎呀，这解说不下去了。
小精灵会变成王觉得愚人宝宝永远长不大，或要他有叉子和魔法。
努力奋斗，干死他们！
人都到齐了噻，莫等了，动手嘛！
还记得吗？当你首次踏足艾泽拉斯，当你孤身面对恐惧之王，当你第一次孵化跳虫速攻，有时史诗般的记忆只能在史诗般的世界中重现。奇妙的冒险，亲密的战友，精彩的回忆，一切仿佛回到从前，就在属于你的暴雪世界。
侦测到在途的巨大乐趣。
很高兴见到你。
英雄请留步，且听烟火鸣。
欢迎来到暴雪世界，新的冒险正在等待着你。
我等不及要玩过山车了。
我来了。
This mecha trailer gets me pumped every single time, Tetra. It is so good. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to HGC China. We're almost there, but we have 2 more games to play first before we can call it a night. Tetra, what is our next matchup going to be?
Our next matchup is not on my screen because all my tabs are closed because I restarted. Well done, me. It's going to be Sunny Lion versus our team of
The One.
The One, yes, not Time
Yeah.
Flow. I was trying to remember the other one. Yes.
The One. And it is going to be a good one because The One, basically their power level is charging up right now. They're slowly coming in good shape here. And it comes with a little surprise that most of the casters predict a tie or a draw. And only Q, our lovely Chinese commentator, is giving them the edge here. And I would actually have to agree with Q, because I think The One has always been one of the stronger teams in the league. And if they maintain that focus and momentum and the consistency, they're definitely a candidate for the top 3 to maybe represent China at some of the later tournaments.
I would agree. I definitely think they are continuing to improve. Their new member Zado is also performing very well. And Meng, we talk about him a lot. He's definitely one of the show-out stars from this season.
Looking really good, especially on those playmaking assassins here. You see him on the Genji, slicing and dicing his way through. Reset after reset. Well done. And we mentioned this yesterday on broadcast as well. Meng is one of the most improved players overall. If you compare him to his early showings when he played for Hot Lady, and then he moved on over to The One now, which I think he actually has become the team leader to some extent.
I think he has. He definitely seems to be in a position of comfort, at least with the team. So it's cool to see that he is he's showing off, that he's really putting on performances both in and out of game.
And I still want one of those hoodies, man. The gold, black, white swag is just on the next level here. But by the same token, we also have to mention Sunny Lion, one of the newest teams in the league that we have yet to see. And as we said earlier, they have 2 players from the former team known as KT, with C, formerly known as Butcher, and Yusia, formerly known as Neptune.
Indeed, we do. Butcher, or C as he is now known, was very well known for his Stitches plays. So there's always that threat hanging over your head that could make an actual return.
Yep, very, very true. So can the Sunny Lions pull it off here against The One? It's definitely one of those opponents where they could cause a little bit of an upset here, where they could snatch away a couple of points. And right now, the situation for the Sunny Lions is really looking too bright and sunny, because they are finding themselves in the bottom half of the table next to RPG, who once again couldn't manage to get a victory in.
Here are the statistics. The One and Sunny Lion, actually, both of them sitting relatively even on a lot of the stats, except for deaths, where Sunny Lion falls significantly short.
And unfortunately, that is the only statistics here. You don't want to be ahead of your opponents. In the very middle, by the way, 6.7 to 11.4.
And here are the recent results. The One able to take series off both BTG, who they were below last season, and RPG, pulling off a draw against Time Flow, as did Sunny Lion. Sunny Lion, though, have had a much more difficult previous couple of games.
Yeah, they basically threw the rookies into the cage and were like, okay, you're going to fight against CE and SPT first. Prove your worth to the viewers out there.
And they could get completely wrecked while shouting, I'm a lion, I'm supposed to be good in a cage. Wasn't that a whole thing back in the Roman times? But yeah, they struggled so far, but now they are getting the chance to play against potentially more achievable opponents, as we see The One starting us off on Dragonshire.
Yeah, if the Sunny Lions are the Lions after all, then SPT is currently a tank and CE a battlecruiser. That's literally what they had to face up to this point.
Very much so. They did. They had some difficulties. The One, though, they are going to look to try and match the Air Force style of their own logo and try and take down Sunny Lion and join the apparently, in our analogy, military style ranks at the top of the table.
Very true, very true. Can the one get a little bit closer here to a top 3 position? And keep in mind, they're going to pay special attention to Soa performing later, because I think the one and Soa are very closely matched in the overall rankings, and these could be the 2 hottest candidates here to maybe represent China at either the Mid-Season Brawl or the Eastern Clash a little bit earlier here, because BTG, let's face it, they have fallen off a little bit, and they have yet to regain their former glory. Very
true indeed. So, let's see what we see from Sunny Lion. With Hanzo left available, here's the question of whether these teams have put a huge amount of priority on Hanzo. We know the one has, with Meng especially. Yeah. Do Sunny Lion like the hero?
Looks like Meng's our Shimada specialist. He plays a lot of Genji, and he plays a lot of Hanzo as well.
When he's allowed to, because they get banned a lot. And because chat says it basically every time something like that happens, I will do the meme once, watch Shimada with you. So there you go, now it can die. As we wait for Sunny Lion's first pick.
Did you come up with that yourself, or did anyone else?
No, I said it was from chat.
Oh, okay.
Every time they're bad.
There we go. Okay, gotcha. All right. So, Greymane now being prioritized by Sunny Lion, and we can't really blame them. Greymane, if you just saw a Lufel tear people apart here, then you know exactly how strong that hero can be. On Dragonshire, that's the cool thing about Greymane too. Name one map that he's not particularly good on. You can't.
Nope. Can't do it. There's the Hanzo. There's Sonya. Sonya, another hero who you can't really name a map she's not really good on. And Hanzo coming in. No boss on this map, so his priority does fall down a little bit. That seems to be the rule with him, but there's still bruises. He can get value on 3 bruises. In fact, the most on any map, I believe.
Very true. Very true. Now, it's always interesting to see what teams put into that solo lane against the Sonya. Greymane, in theory, could do it. He's actually surprisingly good against the Sonya, especially if he knows how to poke and use his ranged advantage. However, there's other heroes like Malthael, for instance, who basically outperform Sonya very easily. Then there's other heroes who can hold the lane rather okay, like a Leoric or Dehaka. So we're going to find out what Sunny Lion is up to.
Yes, we will. It's also we were going through the statistics that came up on the screen. XP was the very bottom one.
Yeah. It always goes from top to bottom. We have KDA, then we have kills on average per game, deaths on average per game, assists, and then last but not least, we have the experience.
Experience, which is cool to see. Indeed, especially, like, I keep forgetting that you can do it in-game. Honestly, I keep forgetting you could, like, hit the little Heroes of the Storm logo up at the top, the little versus button, and get the XP breakdown. Very useful to work out where you were going wrong in losing games, which is great.
Yeah, definitely true. Now, the Tychus ban coming in here, it seems like teams don't really necessarily want to play against that Odin style, and I can't really blame them, because Odin is such a deciding factor in those longer drawn out battles, and when you have to disengage every single time you see the Odin go down, it could actually ruin your day, especially if you're planning on playing a little bit aggressively yourselves, which the one is really known for, with players like Hugo, Meng, who basically feel the most comfortable whenever they can go in deep.
Is it possible to get a full transformation team with Odin, Alexstrasza, Dragon Form, Metamorphosis, Archon, and Meridian's Avatar form? Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I answered my own question. Sounds cool.
Sounds like a pretty decent lineup, actually.
It does. That's a really reasonable comp. You got damage, you got support. We did it. We made it. So we see Rhaegar getting banned out here once again. Malfurion continuing to not be prioritized in this region compared to all of the others.
Very true. And the response here by the one, what is it going to look like? Now, the Rhaegar ban is a little bit strange at first glance, because traditionally speaking, teams, especially in other regions other than China, have not been performing too well in the Rhaegar. He was sitting at a very subpar win rate, and in China, however, things, the clocks are running a little bit differently. The new Malv hasn't really found its way into the meta. The one time he did get picked on stream, it didn't do well at all.
Yeah, and he got like one really good cleanse, and that was the highlight.
And that was about it, exactly. And then there's supports like Stukov, who seem to be doing really well every time they get picked, but for some reason teams are like, you know what, let's not pick him.
Yeah, they love their Uther. Uther is the Bay of China at this point, with Lucio also sitting up there. Tyrael makes it in along with the Falstad as the final 2 picks for Sunny Lion. Very melee-heavy team, with Falstad going to be dancing around the fight, doing the damage output that he can do.
We just saw Hehe, by the way, the main tank player for the one, and his pick is still left for the grabs, up for the grabs. What is he going to go for? I mean, there's still a couple of solid options. Muradin, for example, Nubrek, Arthas. I think Arthas in general could be really strong against the Greymane, ETC, Tyrael triple frontline, if you will.
I'd be concerned about the ability of Arthas to survive a Sank in general, especially if there's a cursed bullet involved. But overall, the only one I'd maybe accent please. The only one I'd maybe prefer would be Muradin.
Yeah, Muradin is probably the most versatile of the warriors here, and especially in Dragonshire, we see a couple of deadly rotations to come in from that Muradin when he leaps over a wall to really initiate a deadly gank from the side. But they go for Arthas, probably a little bit more teamfight oriented, especially as we said against Uther, ETC, and Tyrael, and the Greymane and Worgen form, who could all get trapped by that Frozen Tempest.
Indeed. Now, with the Arthas, it could, like we said, it could be the game changer. It could be a risky pick here. Sanctification could just completely shut it down if the one are not careful. Sunny Lion, they've been working their way up the table. Sneaky wins of 1-1 versus Time Flow earlier today, which some people might not have expected, seeing their previous results from the two.
Yeah, the rookies sharing points, basically. Both Time Flow and Sunny Lions walking away with 1 point, respectively. It's going to help Time Flow a little bit more, I think, because they are still in the solid middle field of the table. And if they win against Soa later on in the next game, then they could really make a strong claim for, you know, the upper echelons of HGC China.
Completely agree. That is an opportunity that they have before them, as we are preparing to enter into Dragonshire. The Falstad definitely going to help in terms of rotations here on this map. There's not really a reply to that from the side of the one.
Yeah, the global impact of Falstad could actually be what makes all the difference on Dragonshire sometimes, especially when the enemy team doesn't have any other globals to respond with. So no Dehaka, no Brightwing, no ETC Stage Dive coming in here. So let's see what the one is going to bring to the table. We're going to introduce them to you guys very, very quickly here. In the blue trunks, we have the one with Hugo. On the Sonya, Lucky plays Hanzo. It is Meng on that Jaina. After all, Zaro, the newcomer, on Lucio, and Hehe plays the Arthas.
Whereas on the right-hand side, our newcomers, it is Sunny Lion, with Pao playing on the Uther, Jada playing the Falstad, Phoebe D playing the Greymane, C on ETC, and Eustia is playing that Tyrael.
Yeah, and Eustia, formerly known as Neptune, is a player that I want you guys to pay a lot of focus and attention on, because he showed us some stellar Dehaka performance yesterday. However, Dehaka is not really here this time, so we're gonna see how well he can do on that Tyrael. Once again, it is the newly reworked Tyrael for all of you guys who just tuned in, and already we can see Just For All coming back once more, providing thick shields to everybody around Tyrael, and thus offering a lot of additional protection.
Yes, it will. That's going to be really helpful in those big team fights, especially with so many melee heroes team. Hanzo going for that redemption style here, already with a single stack, so he's going to try and trade Falstad. Now, we've seen this exact matchup before in this bottom lane on this map, and we know that Hanzo will win if there is not a lot of assistance given to Falstad, due to the fact that the second Falstad steps on the point, Hanzo just destroys him with the exceedingly high poke.
What's good about Hanzo in that solo lane as well is that he doesn't necessarily need vision to deliver the damage, because one scattering arrow in that choke point near the shrines could actually deal an astounding amount of damage as well. But so far, Phoebe on that Jaina, excuse me, on that Falstad is doing a wonderful job at pressuring the Japanese archer back and maintaining good shape there.
This is the first time we are in a game where Jaina is playing and he's not playing the Jaina. So prepare for maximum confusion, everyone, when we say Jaina makes a play. So enjoy that as ETC gets rooted and he's able to pull back to escape, but he does take a little bit of extra damage from Hans.
That he does, but so much attention was being put on the ETC that both shrines are now under control for Sunny Lion temporarily, but Lucky, of course, on that Hanzo. He's going to take good care of the turn-in point, and especially the vision granted by his E is going to be very, very useful when it comes to predicting where the enemies might try to go and when they might try to put it in.
Meng rotating up to the top lane. C is here for his team as well. 3 versus 4. Lucio on the way to making a 4 versus 4. But the earlier mercenary camp from Sunny Lion getting significantly more value as they were able to take a 4. Good route by Arthurs though, trying to focus on to Phoebe D, but not enough with that shield from the Tyrael.
Yeah, and the shields from Righteousness here on Yusia are so useful, especially when it comes to buying a little bit of time and buying a little bit of extra protection from those Jaina, AoE damage spells.
There you go, that's how you fix Raider, just combine him with Jaina, make a superhero. As we do see, he holding the line for the moment, protecting that second tower, and that was definitely a big possibility of falling due to the amount of pressure Sunny Lion were putting on, but solid defense coming in from the one. Hanzo, by the way, that explosive arrow.
Uh-oh, there's a standoff, it's a duel. Oh my goodness, Lucky!
He got it! That damage output. Hanzo lives, but the Dragonite is taken by Sunny Lion.
Maximum courage, maximum balls shown here by Lucky, who didn't really retreat by an inch. Now he needs to be careful that it could be a cheeky cocktail coming in. No, 50 doesn't really know that Hanzo is still there anymore. But Falstad died for a good cause. He died for a good reason, because the first Dragonite was used and unleashed by Sunny Lions in consequence.
Yeah, very nicely done. Sunny Lions taking down both the towers and the wall in the mid lane. They've already killed one of the towers in the top lane. Bottom lane is next on the list, just getting as much XP as possible. Not going for any early forts or anything like that. This is just, let's take a lead and get as far ahead as possible.
Exactly. Nice movement here also. Oh, never mind. I take that back. He takes shots from both towers, because normally you can pilot the Dragonite, so it only takes 1 tower damage. But it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, he's still doing the damage. He's used most of the health for the duration, so he gets some value out of it. I'm pretty sure he got one of the towers in the bot lane.
Yeah.
So overall, that was a 3-tower Dragonite, which is not terrible.
Yeah, which is actually really solid, and that is being reflected here in the overall XP count as well. Hanzo dropping the scouting arrow. He knows exactly what's going on, but there's only so much the one can do with a rather slow and immobile lineup here. Both Jaina and Arthas are rather slow-moving heroes, but once they get to you, once they stick to you, it's really hard to get rid of them.
That it is, as Hanzo goes for. He did go at level 4, by the way, for the explosive arrows, where if he hits minions or mercenaries or monsters with his Q, it will explode. And if he is fighting in amongst a minion wave, this will, I believe, apply his sharpened arrowhead.
Yeah, it's basically a lot of damage, especially if it hits heroes who are surrounded by mercenaries and minions alike. And
apply the debuff.
Exactly. And speaking of wave clear and AoE damage, he now basically extended this niche, basically, if you will, even more, for now going with instant kills on minions on his auto attacks.
Did he? I'm pretty sure that's the armor reduction.
Oh, wait, is it the armor reduction? Sorry,
yeah,
sorry. I was completely flabbergasted. My apologies.
It is all good. Yeah, the instant minion kill is level 4. That's ignore all distractions. So, yes.
Not a Hanzo main, okay? Okay, I'm just proving this. I did this mistake on purpose so that chat would never think me of a Hanzo main.
Very true. If you can call Kendrick many positive things, but unfortunately Hanzo main is not one of them. There we go. That's how you make the chat rage. As we see Arthur's getting engaged upon here, trying to survive. Beautiful route, but Lucio was not able to provide enough healing to get him out, and there was too many body blocks.
Yeah, there were a couple of cool moves here by Arthas here. He actually almost survived by using the Aspon Fortitude in time and landing a beautiful Howling Blast on multiple enemy heroes, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. However, you know, him dying there didn't really do too much because they were still soaking elsewhere. However, level 10 still coming a little bit early, and the Sunny Lions, they're putting on a show. Never mind Zato buying a couple more seconds, but it's not going to matter because neither Sonya nor Hanzo in the side lanes could take back one of those shrines. That was actually a reckless maneuver by Lucio that was not necessary. If he had died there, that would have actually put the one further back.
Very true. Speaking of reckless maneuvers, by the way, Judgment and Hinterland combo returns, and a Cursed Bullet for good measure coming in for the burst potential of Sunny Lion, and a stage dive for ETC. Here's the Dragon Arrow. That'll get Hugo out of dodge, but Hugo decides to turn around. There's the Hinterland. Not getting too much value here, but Power is able to get out faster than Divine Shield. Beautiful sound barrier from Lucio, keeping the team alive. Hanzo and Jaina have arrived, and they shred through Falstad and Tyrael.
So here's what went wrong for Sunny Lion. They didn't have Greymane, they were in a 4 versus 5 situation, and still they fully committed to the combo. Imagine if Greymane had been in the mix, the follow-up on the stage dive, on the judgment potentially, which wasn't even used by the way, could have been much better. So the one immediately recognizing that Sunny Lion's Exodia wasn't really completed, they could actually force the issue without exposing themselves too much. So good map awareness, good decision making, and Sunny Lion just pulling the trigger a little bit too early there.
Yeah.
Oh!
Lands in the root here. Power drops their healing. They're trying to turn it around. Hanzo gets deleted. Point blank judgment from Justia here as they push forward. It's a massacre by Sunny Lion. Much better. Now they have Greymane here. They are able to push their way through here. Eventually, there we go. Tyrael Teleport will do the job. And Hugo will be the only survivor.
And the Lion roars in that team fight. Beautiful lockdowns left and right. And as you said, the point-blank judgment not really getting a lot of value in terms of covering distance and closing the gap. But it got the job done, you know? It got the job done. And the Lions are extending their lead more and more. And immediately, they have a good decision making there as well. Stealing away the Siege Giant camp on the enemy team's half.
And even more positive for Sunny Lion here, they were able to kill Hanzo, removing some of those redemption stacks. And this is the reason we're seeing this. Anytime a hinterland seems to be picked, whether it's with Judgment or as we saw a couple days ago, Leap, it's against Hanzo, and it's simply done to just clear his stacks. Stop him stacking, you're able to keep alive.
Yeah, and a job well done by Sunny Lion here right now. I really love that you brought up this point. Falstad plus Tyrael or the Sonya Leap, any form of hard CC, excuse me, followed up by the Hinterland Blast burst damage seems to be the golden recipe to really deal with Hanzo, who proves to be such a menace and such a hard to kill target for many other heroes.
Yeah, it turns out the best way to kill a target like that is, turns out his health pool isn't that high. Just kill him. He does die like any other hero. He is not Genji. He does not have protected, by the way. Here's the judgment, Hinterland, and the sound barrier keeps him alive. Lucky, the long distance leap straight into Mount, and the one, they still lose Jada, but Hanzo keeps his stacks. But either way, the fact is Sunny Lion, they weren't able to execute the person they wanted to, and they still picked up a kill. Very nice move.
And what's also very beautiful about this playstyle is, look at the cooldowns on those heroic abilities. Both the Hinterland Blast and Judgment share the same cooldown, and then you have a Stage Dive on top of it, and you're gonna have low cooldown, high impact heroic abilities. Now, Holy Ground available for Tyrael as well, adding additional lockdown and zoning, immediately utilizing it to secure the Dragon Knight. Sunny Lion is playing this map like it's supposed to be played, and if they can keep up the momentum here, I can't see anything that the One can do to snatch away the victory from them.
The One's hiding in their base at this point, just poking down the Dragon Knight. Lucky trying to gain some more redemption stacks. He must get maximum damage. I'm pretty sure he is actually complete by the speed he is attacking here. Nope, there it is. Cool. There we go. Problem solved.
Yeah, and now from now on, whenever you're trying to defend your base and you see that Eldrin's might go down, sweat is starting to build on your forehead because you never know. Am I allowed to go in? Can I go in? Or is Tyrael gonna press Q again and lock me in?
The One find Jada on Falstad here and are able to finish him off. Now they want more. They found the Greymane. The cleanse is good, but C was hit by that Dragon Arrow. Hihi trying to slow down the retreat here, but he's getting hit by too much crowd control, and the sound barrier kind of wasted here. Good disengage by Sunny Lion.
And we see the power of the new Tyrael once more. Not just the Holy Grounds that were preventing Sonya and the remainders of the One from chasing the targets down from Sunny Lion, but also the Swift Retribution at level 7. Hands down, one of the best talents for Tyrael to pick here, because it provides so much additional movement speed to help people escape the slows of Jada and Arthas, most importantly.
So we see Zado scouting around the area, staying in between these two, all his teammates here, as they were in bot lane and the top jungle, so we could dash to any of them as he was required, while Sunny Lion continue to abuse their heavy control over the map.
Now, it looks like the One are stalling this mercenary camp out a little bit more. They want to wait until the top lane has been cleared, and maybe even until the shrines are going to go up. Nope, they take it now anyways. But with the combined efforts of Hihi and Hugo, I think they should have more than enough to deal with the mages. Hihi actually doing a really good job scouting. They now know that Sunny Lion is about to make a move.
They do, in fact, know as they move in, looking for Hugo here. He drops the whirlwind, gets CC'd, and Hugo is dropped. Not a single heroic except for the cursed bullet was used by Sunny Lion.
Yeah, and Yusia on that Tyrael in true Lion fashion, pouncing on that Sonya, really utilizing the fallen fort structure there as additional terrain. In the meantime, we see Hanzo getting engaged on the too short.
That was just sad. Yusia now in full retreat, regretting his actions. He will pull back to his base.
I mean, it is really hard to predict the range of Hinterland Blast because normally you always have it covered, but when you're trying to make those plays from downtown over a wall, then there's only so much we can blame Jaina for here.
Maybe we're going to start seeing Thrall with the infinite range sundering to fix that particular problem that we see once in a blue moon. As Jaina on the Falstad moves in to pick up the Dragonite once again, they're preparing to move in for a potential keep, assuming that the One do not get this kill up in the top lane, but it looks like they may actually die themselves. Holy ground, stage dive for good measure. Yusia might have been more he can chew here. The Dragon Arrow comes in. Hugo gets shielded as they continue to push forward. Yusia is able to speed boost himself away, dropping the shield for the allies, gets rooted, and Arthas punishes the engage of Sunny Lion. However, Sunny Lion are putting on quite the show in the mid lane, picking up a keep.
Definitely worth it. The dragon has 25 armor currently taken away from it, but it is still going to be enough survivability and enough damage to secure the kill of the keep in the middle lane. Now, no more Divine Shield available. You can run away from the Frost here. Arthas keeping Uther in check, and once again, the One managed to get a couple more kills, but still, I think with the fact that still all forts are available for Sunny Lion, they definitely traded off very nicely here.
Yeah, and it's still basically a full level lead for Sunny Lion as well. Good cocktail. Feed V so tempted to move in and try and get a kill there, but does not want to take the risk as only 2 members of his team are alive.
Yeah, that was huge actually. The Cursed Bullet, the cocktail, the false set damage, everything lined up very nicely to keep the One at bay and maybe even save the fort in the middle. That is huge. The One can't capitalize on that team fight. They just won.
Yeah, they're doing so well here. Sunny Lion somehow managing to... I really don't know who's winning this game, honestly. Like, Sunny Lion are winning basically everything except fights. That seems to be how this is going at the moment.
Definitely true. So, the One, they're in the driver's seat right now. They're gaining their momentum back, but all heroic abilities are going to be ready for Sunny Lion. 3 seconds left on the Divine Shield, and it really comes down to them executing their combo perfectly, because if it doesn't go down very well, and if they can't nail down someone like Arthas or, Hanzo or Jaina immediately, then slowly but surely the stronger sustained team fighting by the One is going to strike back.
Lucky, by the way, with that, we see Caesar Marksman finishing the stacking. Very nice. That's going to give Falstad a huge damage boost here with that extra attack speed he can gain. Phoebe D does get rooted. They would have pulled back. But yeah, Hunter with the piercing arrows. They're giving him so much more wave clear here.
Yeah, so much damage onto Arthas as well there with that Cursed Bullet. Hugo, in the meantime, stays untouched. And here comes the Dragon's Arrow.
The Dragon's Arrow sees Yusia, who has to speed boost away. Divine Shield having to be used as well. Jaina pushing forward, and there's the route onto Jaina on the Falstad. As we see Meg on the Jaina, need to start specifying that, was able to retreat without too many difficulties.
Yeah, keep in mind though that ETC did willingly not participate in that team fight. All he wanted to do was soak that level 20. Thanks to the global mobility he has, he could join his teammates at any given moment, but he's really just trying to get as much value as he possibly can.
Phoebe D finding off
here he comes.
More he can chew, but here's the Sage Dive.
Oh my!
The Judgment Hinterland, this time executed to perfection, killing off the support, and they've even managed to find themselves a delicious Jaina that they're able to finish off.
Wow, this was just picture-perfect play by Sunny Lion. That's exactly how they wanted to do it. The Mystical Spear is probably not going to be enough. No, Tyrael gets the Dragon Knight. But the synchrony here, the synergy between ETC and Tyrael and Falstad was just a pleasure to behold. This heavy lockdown burst damage composition seems to be exactly what they needed to punish all those squishy low HP heroes like Hanzo and Jaina.
And Sunny Lion with level 20 moving in to try and end the game. The Dragon Arrow not getting too much value. Falstad is taken down though. It's a full defense coming in here. Arthas getting good value, but the Dragonite stands tall. And that is going to be GG and the death metal for good measure as Sunny Lion take game number 1.
I like how Tyrael wasn't even moving. He was literally right-clicking. Didn't move the Dragonite a single inch, but it was not needed after all because 2 heroes for the 1 were still coming out way too late. And they were clapping, they were applauding themselves, and rightfully so because Sunny Lion, they single-handedly crushed the momentum and all the hopes of the 1 to make it out to the top 3 this time.
At least this time, but the Sunny Lion, their hopes still remain intact. If they're able to take a 2-0 victory here, they're going to move a little bit further up in the table, which is great news for them.
Now, I really want to say this, Tetra. China is known for innovation, or they were known to innovate the meta in the past. They did so successfully with E-Star introducing the double support Vala, for example. And I think we have seen the infamous Tyrael Falstad combo before, but very rarely did we see it executed this well, and especially the ETC with Stage Dive in the mix, I think was such a cool bonus to it. I think this is a game for other regions, other teams, maybe in China even, to watch and learn from, especially when playing against Hanzo.
Quite possibly. At least the game of just kill Hanzo or kill Lucio, because both of them are really good targets there. Being able to blow up Lucio in that kind of fashion is a really big deal.
Yeah. And you could actually argue that that may have been a mistake in the draft for the 1, relying on so many squishy heroes, and then Lucio on top of that without any ways to save a target in time, thanks to the fact that he has no cleanse, and the sound barrier has a wind-up time, and then sometimes that 1 second is enough, or is not enough, to save a target in need.
Completely agreed. Now then, very solid performance by Sunny Lion to begin with.
Yeah.
It's unlikely that particular victory strategy will work twice, because the 1 could just ignore the Hanzo, or just ban the Hanzo, or even ban the Tyrael. At this point, I'm starting to consider Tyrael ban-worthy, but the fact is not all the teams have caught on yet, so at the moment it still feels like a throwaway ban in some games.
And dude, what is going on, Tetra? Tyrael continues to win. That's all he does, and the new Tyrael, who is currently only available in China because last weekend he was banned, or basically not able, not even in the mix for other regions, he's currently sitting on a 6-0 win rate.
He's doing well. He's doing absolutely dominant fashion in this in HGC China at the moment, and I'll be very excited for this weekend where we will get to see him played by Korea, Europe, and America for the first time.
Yeah, very true. I can't wait to see what the other teams in the other regions will have in store for us when playing that new Tyrael. I think this is basically giving you a nice sneak preview, especially in terms of talents, Justice for All, so impactful, the massive AoE shielding, Judgment, Sanctification, both heroic abilities are still perfectly viable. It all comes down to the playstyle that your team is going to pursue.
Indeed it does, and right now, the Sunny Lion... Okay, so we have a little bit of data here now. We've actually seen them play several games. Who are you enjoying more from the new teams? Sunny Lion or Timefo?
I'm gonna be brutally honest with you here. I think it's Sunny Lion. And the reason why I enjoy them more up to this point is because they are willing to switch things up. They can adjust. And they are not afraid to try crazy things like a full lockdown composition. Whereas, you know, Timeflow, no disrespect to Timeless and his boys, but they seemed very one-dimensional up to this point.
Yeah, Greymane plus Garrosh, and that's basically it for them. And Zarya sometimes, from time to time. If you're gonna do a one-trick draft, it better be the best draft. CE have shown us that, but it doesn't always work for Timeflow.
Yeah, and Timeless in particular, he is known to be such an exotic bird in the Hero League, or he used to be one of those, and this willingness to give new things a try and to give them a shot in HGC China has so far been lacking. And I really hope that in the game to come here, in the series to come with Timeflow involved, we're going to see much more of this new rookie, not afraid to try new things. Pretty much like Sunny Lion here.
Speaking of trying new things, both teams feel they're going to try banning Genji and Hanzo for a change, making going down a limb a little bit here, a little bit risky.
Definitely true. We see exactly the style, the drafting style from game number 1, just switch things around right now because the ones secured themselves the Greymane this time.
Indeed. The Greymane coming out first here. And they are big fans of it, so very good to see. ETC, taken by Sunny Lion again. Worked well for them last time.
There we go. That much is true. Now, the map is a different one. It is Tomb of the Spider Queen. However, it is similar to Dragonshire in many ways. Namely, it's pretty small, just like Dragonshire. Rotations are really important, just like Dragonshire. So it wouldn't surprise me if Sunny Lion, they were going for a similar style in their draft.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with it. It works well enough. There's no... Like, honestly, I'd say the same heroes, different style. Just pick Sanctification, pick the Tyrael again, pick Sanctification, pick Falstad again. It worked well. Pick Gust for a little bit of Disengage. You see Mosh Pit. You could basically go the exact same picks and still play a completely different game.
Very true, and that's the beauty of heroes like Tyrael. I mean, he was so popular all across the globe in the competitive scene, even before the rework. And I think after what we've seen here in HGC China, it's gonna blow his popularity through the roof.
Yeah, I agree. His popularity was already high. Like, Tyrael was one of those heroes, we've said it multiple times, who he'd show up maybe once, maybe twice in each individual HGC, and then the offline event would happen, and no changes would be made to Tyrael, but he'd be the #1 pick. Because of how high his skill cap is. Now that he gets Holy Ground earlier, and has a very interactive talent pool in general, with some really cool and team-empowering abilities, we're going to see a lot more of him in the league.
And I like what the One has brought to the table here up to this point. They're going for 2 orcs in a row, while my Alliance Heart is pounding in Fury. I still think it's a great choice on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Not only because Gul'dan obviously offers a lot of wave clear, but the Horrifies. It really seems to be one of the major components to really stop the aggression from Sunny Lion.
Yeah. And actually, all the heroes so far, it's apparently an only gruff-voiced heroes draft in this particular case.
A little vicious, don't you think?
That was good. I like that. Can you do ETC?
No.
There's
only so much I'm willing to make a fool of myself on stream. The ETC I could never do.
You saying voice acting's making a fool of yourself?
Yeah, maybe.
You starting, mate? As we're going to see Jaina banned down. Fair enough. It was pretty strong.
Yeah, it definitely was strong. And especially with that ETC, AoE, crowd control, mosh pit potential, Jaina is definitely something you want to get out of the equation. Now, there's one thing I want to see the One avoid doing, and that is picking Johanna as the main tank. Now, while Muradin is banned, obviously, there's still a couple of other solid options. Most importantly, Tetra, I would love to see a Diablo at some point.
Diablo could be good. He's another hero who's jumped very high up in terms of priority in all the regions except China. Even in Hero League, Diablo has leapt up in popularity.
Yeah, especially here in Tomb, where you can get so much value from your Devil's Due talent at level 1.
Walls for days.
Yeah, globes for days indeed.
Yeah, globes, walls, everything Diablo loves is here on this map. Lots of lanes to soak his souls. He has a good time. Also, this is the map where Diablo actually really gained popularity the first time, with Virtus Pro back from European Road to BlizzCon, where they ran Diablo Lightning Breath and Tassadar Force Wall. And the entire strategy was just tackle them into the Force Wall and then Lightning Breath them point blank. It was brilliant. It was so daft.
Good times indeed. But are we going to see the Lord of Terror on the side of the One? That remains to be seen. But we have Ragnaros firing it up here on Tomb. And Tetra, tell us why he's so popular on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Ragnaros is great on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen for starters because there's a solo lane he's going to have a good time in, and for second because his Molten Core can basically reach 2 lanes. So if he was to Molten Core in mid lane, he could defend both top and bot at the same time if he shares his abilities well enough. If he Molten Core's top, he can also siege mid a bit. It works very well.
Yeah, very well. And especially in the top lane, you could also never forget the potential impact of a Molten Core near the boss fights. Oftentimes we see teams abandoning a boss call simply because there's a Molten Core to go down and ruin their days. So Ragnar is one of the more versatile heroes, especially when it comes to defending on maps like Braxis Holdout against the Zerg Wave, for example, or on Tomb of the Spider Queen, the very battleground we're playing here right now. So,
yeah,
a lot of a lot of damage potentially coming in, and I love the preemptive Tychus pick as well, because now Diablo all of a sudden doesn't really seem that good of a choice anymore, but the golden Leoric is here, and a rather low HP warrior with a Nubrek. I like that. I like that.
So do I. It tries to force away from the bigger they are, at least for starters, because you're going to get very little value from it, so Tychus has to switch up his build at least a little bit, which is fine. He has lots of options on that level, but it's kind of interesting. The Drain Life, for example, on ETC is going to be good. It's a lot of CC for Mosh Pit potential. Pretty solid last 2 picks here.
Very true. Now, what is still missing for Sunny Lion? It is definitely another frontliner, potentially, or another ranged, if they are confident enough to run ETC Ragnaros as the solo tank, solo melee. But Uther already provides a little bit of body impact as well, so it wouldn't surprise me if you saw another ranged, maybe, for additional wave clear.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Ragnaros is probably their solo laner, so who would go well in the 4-man rotation with Uther, Tychus, and Stitches? I would definitely say another damage dealer.
I'm always down for a little bit of brat and a little bit of AI, so
this is the map to do it if we do see the brat. And
no, they're not.
Li Ming.
They're not messing with
much less brat. A lot more magic, though, in terms of the pew-pews. So we do see Li Ming coming in here against a Nubrak. Of course, Disintegrate versus Cocoon. Winner is usually Disintegrate.
Yeah, definitely true. I think it's a really solid counter by... excuse me, sorry. By Sunny Lion. The infamous Disintegrate counter to the Cocoon just comes out so strong. And I'm not saying that Nazeebo couldn't have done it, because Poison is usually very good against it as well. You drop the spiders on top, and boom, there goes the Cocoon. But Li Ming just offers so much more mobility, stronger early game, stronger team fighting impact potentially, so I can't blame them for ignoring my favorite Voodoo Doctor.
Yeah, you are a really big fan of Nazeebo.
Dude, he's my highest played hero. He's my highest played hero. Level 84 representing.
Yeah, and you can see that all on Kendrick's stream. Subtle plug. We can get one in, it's fine. As we do see though the Li Ming. Now, we talked about the Disintegrate versus the Cocoon, but it's not a situation of Li Ming just counters a Nubarak. Li Ming has issues. A Nubarak already comes with passive spell armor, and he does have the option to take the Nerubian armor, or if he wanted to try and block abilities without taking them himself, the much lesser picked Beetle spell armor, which is an option he can have.
Very true. Can Sunny Lion extend their lead even further? And can the one tie things out here in that best of 2? We're going to find out. First of all, we're going to introduce the team named the One to you guys. With Hugo on that Leoric, Lucky plays Gul'dan, Ming on the Greymane this time around, Zato, of course, on the support on Rhaegar, and Hihi plays the Anubarak.
Whereas on the right-hand side, in the red trunks, it is going to be Sunny Lion. Playing for them, Pow on Uther, Jaina on Li Ming, Phoebe D playing on the Tychus, C is on ETC, and Eustia is on the Ragnaros. And Anubarak goes for the Globe talent. Who can blame him on a map like this?
Exactly. Globes are your best friends in Towers of Doom. For sure, we see the Power Hungry, we see the Proc Rock for ETC as well, and the Regeneration Master on the flip side for Anubarak. Pretty interesting to see, because you would normally expect him to still go for the Nerubian skin. It looks like he trusts in his innate tank ability.
He moves in with the C with the CC, but Meng is able to back up here without getting killed. He is going to pop the fountain, not going to be back this early in the game.
Alright, Leoric didn't really participate in that early skirmish in the middle lane. He decided that it was better for him to soak the lane already. Unfortunately for him, Sunny Lion was still fast enough to make the rotation happen themselves, and they're not missing out on any minion XP.
So it's going to be a bot mid rotation for Sunny Lion and a top mid rotation for the One. So Ragnaros going to hold out the top lane. Actually, it looks like it's going to be a 3-man rotation. And Gul'dan, is he in the rotation? Yeah, he is in the rotation. He was just a little bit slow to leave there.
Yeah, Gul'dan was trying to pressure the Ragnaros a little bit more so he could basically prevent the rotations from happening, and they would maybe miss out on XP. But so far, both teams are really, really doing a solid job. But we can already see a different approach here. Yeah, too late. C couldn't make it in time. But whereas the One is focusing on the mercenary camp very early on, Sunny Lion just plays a more standard game and tries to go for team fights instead. Locking down the Greymane, another stun coming in, but he is not one to fall up to this point.
Meatball nearly finished him off there. Yeah. Feed B eats the corruption. Uther cooldowns. Gets it at the last second.
Wow. Did you just call Ragnar's W a meatball? I love it.
I can't remember where I heard that. It might have been Trick. But we do see C moving it down to continue the rotations as Hugo is beginning a mercenary and will get some help from Meng for it.
Oh, you don't even need to put some chili sauce on that because it's already hot enough, man. That much I can tell you.
Indeed it is. As C moves in, continues the rotation. He continuing to live up to his cheeky name with interrupts, but takes so much damage there.
Ooh.
They took a measure.
Now keep in mind, the Nerubian armor is not here to save him, so every ounce of damage he takes, he's only going to have his innate 15 spell armor to block things from. So Li Ming and Taika's grenades could really start hurting him a lot more. And keep in mind, despite the fact that there's a lot of globes to be obtained from here on Tomb of the Spider Queen, it still takes considerably long to accumulate 30, which is exactly what you need for the Regeneration Master.
As Ustia decides to actually leave top lane for a bit. Li Ming, by the way, risky choice here, going for that cooldown reduction on the Arcade Orb as opposed to the Dominance.
Yep, there we go. So a little bit of additional AoE poking. 2-man power slide going in. Zato getting locked down, but the one is just so slippery. They're so elusive. They're not getting caught by any of those CC chains up to this point.
Yeah, they're managing to avoid any kind of really bad engage potential for
Triple
the moment. Stun. Triple stun, and he does have the chase options here thanks to his level 4 Shed Exoskeleton.
Very true. That gives him a little bit of movement speed, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. He becomes a speedy beetle.
In the meantime, we see both teams shuffling around. In terms of turn-ins, the one is actually doing a little bit of a better job, or have been doing a little bit of a better job. 29 gems to 11. And they're doing a pretty good job at maintaining control over those turn-in points as well. And that is oftentimes one of the crucial requirements you have to meet in order to succeed on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
He stuns up C, which gives
denied.
Hugo enough time. It gives Hugo enough time to turn in, though.
Yeah.
Meng having more difficulties, but Shed Exoskeleton, see you later. Able to turn it round. Beautiful move there, but managing to both delay and also turn around and pick up a kill, and maybe another one here. But no way,
no way.
Will C just escape, and he picked up the gems at the same time.
Yeah, I was already starting to question the reckless move by ETC there, literally going into the 4-man gank by the one, but it all turned out well for them. 5 gems is definitely what they need here still, but already Sunny Lions, they're posturing up. A good stun by Anubarak, and here come the Web Weavers.
Here come the Web Weavers for the one here. They hit level 7 as well, only a little bit before Sunny Lion, but they now have the option to try and put on some pressure and try and get themselves an extended lead.
Yeah, very, very true. ETC posturing up here, but he gets immediately scouted by Hehe on that Anubarak, and now it is the one's moment to shine. It's a relatively early turn-in. Normally, we're used to seeing the turn-in around level 8, 9, or even 10. So let's see how much of an early game advantage that one can sneak up with.
They're going to get at minimum this both these towers here. C going to try and prevent them from pushing in too much further, but he's going to have issues. This Web Weaver still at half health.
Still no Molten Core to be used. Ragnar was doing a good enough job in the middle lane to clear it all by himself without the help of his raid boss form. He doesn't even use it to save the top lane maybe, which is currently also defended by Li Ming. So all things considered, I think Sunny Lion did an okay job, but still a lot was lost, and that is being reflected in the overall XP right now. The one is on a rampage right now.
A surprisingly effective clear by Li Ming, honestly. I thought she would have a much harder time up there on her own. So good job. And also, good job Ragnaros. One of the biggest issues we have seen from Ragnaros in the past is they take this level 1 hammer talent and then just fail to stack it because they are either too greedy stacking it and die, or they're too safe and just, well, don't get the stacks. In this case, he's already done. 6-minute stack. Very good job. Better than we usually see.
Yeah, very nice. Let's see what the level 10 choice is going to be for Sunny Lion, by the way. There's still a strong cult that follows the way of the lava wave. And eventually we're gonna get rid of this problem. But for now, it still remains. And even China could go and fall for it.
I mean, once again, we mentioned Trick earlier. It would make him happy.
No.
As we do see the heroics for the one, at least, by the way, Ancestral Healing, Go for the Throat, the Cocoon, Horrify, and March of the Black King.
Very true, and more gems are being turned in. The Cocoon goes down on ETC. He is here to follow up with the stuns. Can they kill the cow? Monka, as we're going to find out.
Stun has landed, they managed to get the abilities, but ETC don't care. There's the Horrify, they'll get Tychus, so that actually is better. So they are able to kill off the Tychus instead.
Strong survival by ETC. The cow proves to be much tankier than anticipated, but as you said, Tychus fell and died for ETC sins. Very unfortunate here, and as you said, Tychus is actually more important when it comes to defending those minion waves that are crushing into the waves and into the buildings of Sunny Lion.
Yeah. Mid 4 goes down. Ustia will survive this one without taking too much damage. Tychus has respawned, so he will be back in the game. Unfortunately, all this time he was dead. He could have been getting in the rhythm stacks, which, by the way, is what he ended up picking at level 4. We did predict he would not go for the bigger they are because of the low hit point tanks on the side of the 1.
Exactly. You know, the questing talent on minigun is usually very nice when it comes to playing against double warriors because you have 2 warriors to stack it on, 2 people who are constantly going to be close to your face, and you know, stacking up the duration can definitely hurt an Anubarak more than, as you said, the bigger they are.
And I'm a sucker for infinitely questing talents. As we see Zado fleeing out there, I'm still waiting for someone to really use Cigaras in a pro game. As we see C pulling back here, he has Mosh Pit available, and it is going to be that Sulfurous Smash. Immediate Molten Core is dropped there. The Molten Swing will be available if the 1 push in any further, and this will be a great dissuadance here from that happening.
Very true. It is a long cooldown though, so if this Web Weaver phase or this Web Weaver wave survives, they won't have it to defend the keep right now. Once again, Tychus just being cocooned for good measure. No damage really done. In the meantime though, look at the bottom lane. Hugo turning on the heat on that Lyric in the middle. Also, a lot of pressure to be applied here, and it looks like Sunny Lion is getting overwhelmed slowly but surely.
Very slowly but surely. They were able to clear the cocoon quite quickly thanks to Ragnaros's Meteor also being very effective. Oh, Horrify! Uther doesn't want to be here, but ETC coming in from the back, being a great distraction, forcing everyone to get out of position. Anubarak will get dropped here, and Ragnaros should eventually be able to kill off Lucky as the C continues the chase. Beautiful stun, and the one get absolutely punished.
Yeah, absolutely true. The resets are real for Li Ming. All the keeps are still left alive. The Disintegrate finishing off Leoric as well. And he dropped a couple of gems here, which is going to be really useful. And now, speaking of gems, Tetcher, Sunny Lion, they have a chance to go for boss and a turn in alike.
They get the turn in, ETC doing it, and they start the boss. If they can do this right, it will tie together. You can see Ragnaros over by the rest of it, further back in the lane, pushing it up so the Web Weaver will spawn next to the boss. That is the plan here, and we see the replay. A nice kill onto Anubarak, and Lucky is so zoned out, unable to help his team with any kind of damage.
Yeah, really well done, and that could have been the difference between Regeneration Master and Nerubian Armor. Anubarak was falling very, very rapidly. Maybe the additional magic armor could have saved him here. Now, failed gank attempt by the 1. They missed the chance to slow down the advance of Sunny Lion. They're still knocking on the front door here with the boss and the Web Weaver combined. The bottom lane, that's the only good news for the 1. It's still far away because the mercenaries buying additional time.
Rag was not able to push the lane up, by the way, though, so that Web Weaver in the top lane did lose a significant amount of health before it was in pushing range. Here's the starter onto the Aura, going to try and blow him up.
See you later.
And they do. That minigun and Li Ming burst, easily able to take down that tanky solo laner in the form of Leoric.
And you know, in quotation marks, I want to add, it's just a Leoric, you know, but it's still very harming, very crippling right now because the keep could actually end up falling now. We have a Tychus Odin to come down. The keep wall is about to fall as well. The Web Weaver is a little bit low, but it could be enough after all to deal some heavy, heavy damage. Hugo's back though.
Hugo is back, returning to his team for a defensible attempt. Somehow, despite the lane being basically unattended, bot fort did actually survive there. Here's the cocoon onto Uther. Immediate
the fear!
Beautiful Horrify prevents the Molten Core, and Pow will be the
Mosh
one to drop there. 3-man Mosh Pit in the back though. Can they get the value? Beautiful Sulfurous Smash. The Ancestral lands on Lucky.
Can we get the Molten Core this time? Here it comes, a massive stun, and resets are about to start, Tetcher.
Beautiful move, Li Ming resets, but no dominance. She has no health, not able to hold the line. C has no mana, and Rag is left alone, and he will get dropped down. It's a 5-for-1 in favor of the 1.
A 5-man team wipe, and that means no more gems for Sunnyline to be turned in anytime soon. Look at that team fight once more. Uther goes down so early, but the mosh pit was good. But Uther, he didn't really have anything to protect the teammates anymore, and there were still warriors from the one barraging the way through. No follow-up here, unfortunately, for the mosh pit. Here comes a big multi-core, but too little too late, as Tetra said. No dominance to keep Li Ming alive there anymore.
And the Horrify preventing the multi-core going down at the start of the fight. If it had gone down at the start of the fight, that would have absolutely been Sunny Lion's win there. But, like we said, it was just too good. And as such, the one, they begin their comeback. They're still 10 gems off of a turn-in, but Sunny Lion are even further.
Yeah, and it's actually mind-blowing to see how ineffective that turn-in plus boss really turned out to be for Sunnyline. They didn't even get the top fort, the bottom fort is still unharmed as well, and the mid keep is still standing. Normally, you expect so much momentum, so much value to be dropped from a mighty turn-in like that.
Yeah, with the boss as well. I mean, how did the top fort survive?
I have no idea.
Look at it, it's healthy. It doesn't even need a mule. That is crazy. But Sunny Lion, they tried to push mid. And they were able to get at least the fort. But in the meantime, their keeps are being pressured as slowly the one collects enough gems to try another turn-in.
Here we go. You can see how the Wizard Mercenary is getting focused by Phoebe D on the Tychus. Now the Magic Aura is no longer there. However, how many gems are left for the one? It looks like they have enough for a turn-in. It's going to be close, but it's going to be enough after all. 12 left on Leoric. Here we go. They also timed the Siege Giant camp perfectly. Hey, doesn't get hit by the power slide. He instead turns it around with a cocoon. That could be a little bit of a waste here after all.
Yeah, his team was nowhere near in position, but now they are coming in. Ominous Wraith trying to get some value. Onto Tychus. There's the Horrify. It doesn't hit anyone. The Divine Shield, though, keeping Tychus alive. A C is pulling back. Mosh Pit is available. If they go too deep here, Li Ming's in a good position to turn around the damage here as Feed B rains down the fire.
And that was so important for Phoebe D to stay alive. If Tychus had fallen here, that would have been certainly GG, because there was no way for them to hold 4 versus 5 against the White Beaters, against the full team. Here goes the multi-core. It needs to be pulled.
And there we see an immediate clear of that bottom lane. This gives Sunny Lion the freedom, and the fact is Rag can stay in this multi-core and begin sieging onto mid. That's exactly what you see here. Getting that value on such a small map is so good.
It really is good. The Wave Beaters are still spilling the purple goo onto the keeps of Sunny Lion. C is going in with an aggressive power slide, but no value to be gained up to this point.
Webweaver is dead, though. The keep survives. Now it's just top lane, with the Webweaver already low for having been alive for so long, as they do have ticking life here. So they're only going to send Rag up to deal with it, as the rest of the team tries to protect this keep.
Wave clear is desperately needed here to keep the minions at bay. But he on that Anubrek, he can spawn the beetles, who basically act like pseudo-minions to take the aggro away from the keep. But in the end, the ones say, okay, we have achieved enough. We have baited out a couple of cooldowns, most importantly, the Molten Core. We can come back later and put an end to that middle keep. So I like the patience. I like the collective decision-making there as well. And in the case of an emergency, the one, they can just stall it out until level 20, because they do have more than an entire level lead.
They do indeed, and C in danger. Cleanse is good. Pow put himself out of position to do so, though. This could be a disaster. The Ominous Wraith is beginning to expire, but Uther is so far away from being safe. He will go down here, unless he gets ignored. The hammer does not land. Pow is just walking through the enemy team. He doesn't care. He's trying to make it back home, and he's actually going to do it. Never mind. Down he goes. Whoa! Okay, they got him. But the mosh pit just on Greymane, trying to finish him off with the Calamity. Not enough to get the kill. And this is going to be potentially a full team wipe if they can catch up to Eustia. And he's trying to speed boost away, but that's still 5 members dead. And the one move on to the core.
Tetra, I made a crucial mistake in my analysis.
Sorry.
No worries. When I expected the one to stall things out, because the word stall doesn't exist in HGC China dictionary. The one, they finish it off with a clean team wipe. The Sunny Lions are bested and tamed, and the series ends in a 1-1.
Yeah, a couple mistakes at the end there by Sunny Lion. They would try to turn in, and unfortunately ETC and Uther got called out. Uther got split from the team. Mistake number 1. A little bit of a whiff on the Sulfura smash. Mistake number 2. Couple iffy things here and there. But either way, an insane performance throughout game number 1 and through most of game number 2 by Sunny Lion. A very entertaining series.
A very good series indeed, and there is no reason for either of the teams to feel bad about this 1-1 because every team gave it their best shot, and I think kudos to the one also for turning things around in that draft as well. I think their team composition made a lot more sense. They finally played Gul'dan like he was supposed to be played. Great stuff coming out by them.
Very nicely done by the one here, keeping themselves still reasonable in terms of points. This basically secures RPG in last place, which is unfortunate for them, but it's great for the other teams.
Definitely true, and just like in true HGC China fashion, the middle field, the middle of the table, is where all the action's at. Whereas SBT and C, they're slowly but surely starting to make a claim here and getting super far away, and RPG just not being able to get out of from that last position. The middle field is super close, and we're going to see that at the very end of the stream as well with the updated rankings. But Soa, The One, Sunny Line, and even Timeflow, they all have a word to say, and BGG of course as well, who's going to represent China as the 3rd seed for the upcoming tournaments.
Yep, because actually it's 4 seeds, isn't it?
Oh, it's 4 seeds for the major reasons this time. It could be for the...
Yeah, I might be wrong. I might be misremembering. Mismembering, yeah. But either way, still cool to see. Well, at least see 3. I'll have to relook up the format later.
Yeah, here we go. 12 kills to 5. A lot of kills were executed this time by the one very successfully due to... I gotta highlight Hugo as well. Okay, he gets the MVP vote. Very, very well deserved because his Anubarak was on fleek. However, I do want to say one thing. Hugo, in that last team fight with the Leoric, Ominous Wraith, Royal Focus, resets, he really crippled the retreat by Sunny Line, making big plays happen.
Yeah, got crazy value in the fight before as well on Tychus, really reducing that Odin value. Q, unfortunately, does not join the predictions and falls behind her caster brethren as everyone else
Q.
drops to an 8-11.
Don't be mean to her fellow Chinese casters. She's too cute for that.
Well, that is going to be the end of our 3rd series of the day. We now have only one more series for the day.
Yeah, one more series is going to come up very shortly, and it's going to be my personal highlight of the day because we're going to see Timeless and his Timeflow team crewmen face it off against Team Soa, who, to everyone's surprise, basically, are showing up the best performance they have ever showed us in HGC China ever since they joined in Phase 1.
Exactly, they're sitting in a comfortable 3rd position right now. I believe
they need to defend it.
They got 2-0'd earlier today, unfortunately, but that was against double checks. That was against CE, so that's not too surprising. But like we said, they're still very comfortable. If we don't count the scores from today, they were 1 point ahead of the one, and the one just scored 1 point. So assuming Soa can score at least 1 point, they will hold their lead.
They will hold the good position. And now we're going to take a look at some of the highlights here from the previous set. It is the Turiel aggression followed up by the Hinterland Blast and the stage dive for good measure. And while they didn't get the Hanzo this time, look at Meng. He's out of position. He's caught. He's like, thank you, Hanzo, for making me die in your stead. So, yeah, great execution there. That was one of my personal highlights as well.
A lot of that was due to the face melt from ETC as well. The stage diving so deep and then face melt just pushed Jaina right up against the wall and she had nowhere to go.
Yeah, very true. And speaking of having nowhere to go, you guys have nowhere to go. You need to stay until the next series, at least for Soa against Timeflow. We'll see you in a bit.
这是《星际争霸2》有史以来最大的改动，免费游戏。梦想过率领自己的军队跨越星际去执行任务吗？那就从《星际争霸2》的单人战役模式开始吧。你可以免费畅玩自由之夜战役，该模式适合即时战略游戏新手。对决模式是即时战略游戏的核心玩法，从3个种族中选择一个：无畏的人类、贪婪的异虫、高贵的心灵，打造自己的大军，展现战略头脑，迈向胜利。所有的对决模式都完全免费，你通过玩游戏就可以解锁天梯的资格。合作指挥官任务，扮演星际争霸的知名角色，发挥你所选择的指挥官的特长，使用独特技能，令敌人灰飞烟灭吧。所有指挥官都可以免费升到5级，其中 Rainer、Kerrigan、Atanis 3位指挥官没有升级限制。现在是新玩家加入《星际争霸2》和老玩家回归的最佳时机，因为《星际争霸2》已经免费。我们对《星际争霸2》的崭新篇章充满期待，祝大家好运！
传说有一片广袤无垠的地下世界，那里有无尽的财宝在等待被发现。你领取任务，在这遥远国度踏上这漫漫寻宝征途。这里宝藏无数，但危机四伏，也许这就是一条不归路。放轻脚步，在这地下深处，有世人梦寐以求的财富。你能拥有全部，但有一样不能碰。你不能拿得住。你犯下错误，你慌不择路，周围全是敌人陷阱漫步。这些凶恶之徒把你逼向绝路，别慌乱，要冷静看好地图。经过千辛万苦，杀出一条血路，是想回到绿点的后路。在这穷途末路，怎能轻易认输？那就拿命来赌一赌。这是我们的蜡烛。
魔兽世界，永不落幕的世界。史诗故事即将翻开新的篇章。随身结合时，魔兽世界官方出品移动端助手，新增史诗钥匙功能，查看地下城的战绩与数据，孰强孰弱一览无遗。同服同阵营，聊天畅通无阻，实时关注好友在线状态、装备等级，通过移动端与游戏内好友及时聊，玩转掌上公会，寻找附近志同道合的战友，一起畅游艾泽拉斯吧。
We've got one mode, ladies and gentlemen, for you to behold for HGC China Day 3 in week number 1. We're still at the very beginning, but already our Chinese teams are delivering, Tetra. We've seen plenty of heroes enter the fray today with a non-standard talent build. Most importantly, the Polybomb Medivh was an absolute pleasure. And we still have one series left to go. Soa is going to face off the newcomers of Timeflow.
So let's just quickly go go over some of the stuff we have seen over the last couple of days, just to show you guys why we are always talking about why we love China so much. We've seen Diva used to great effect in a victory. Garrosh used multiple times by multiple different teams, which is a little bit rarer. A severe lack of Malfurion. And we did see, like you said, a more peculiar build like we have seen a couple more times.
And most importantly, we've seen Jaina.
Lots of Jaina.
And I'm loving
it. And now
it.
Gul'dan. Hooray.
Yeah, very true. Now Gul'dan in the mix as well. Now, the Chinese caster predictions were very much leaning towards Soa, but their opponents, Timeflow, they have a word to say about it with the man, the myth, the legend, Timeless himself on the left-hand side, joined by Cat, 11, Etui, and F-Show.
And we've never really discussed what we believe the F-Show stands, the F in F-Show stands for. Now, I believe it's fancy, personally, but we will, so far, he's yet to really show us.
If you pay close attention to the clan or team tag, there's also ending on an F, and then you put FFS show, it could be a little bit naughty. So maybe you just wanted to do it for the giggles.
Possibly, possibly. So here we see Soa. We have Fei, Uncle G, TY, Klong, or L Klong technically, but that's hard to say, and Molly.
And Molly. Let's not forget about our favorite ranged assassin, Molly.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'd never lose Molly. We'd never find him. Exactly. We'd have to get help.
Uncle G, though, the key player for a reason. Probably one of the most seasoned players out of all teams, because he's been with his team right of the very get-go, and he is a flex machine, if you will. He plays the ranged assassins if needed, he plays Azaria, he plays supports, he plays it all, and he plays it all really, really well. One of the more legendary Kharazim's back last year in Phase 1, but also a really, really strong flex on heroes like Falstad, for example.
Very true, but right now he seems to be very focused on being the support main for the team. Always jumping on that Uther seems to be his specialty, but he's shown some very comfortable Rhaegar and a Kharazim once or twice.
And if you take a look at Soa's lineup here, you will notice one thing. They're always in a bright mood, they're always smiling, and that really reflects itself into the way they play the game. They've been together, at least the core components of the team, Molly, Fei, Uncle G, and now TY as well. They've been together for a long time, and what's most important about this team is their growth over time. They started at the very bottom as one of the farm teams, if you will, not winning a single game until the very last play day, and now they've transformed into this beautiful butterfly that is now a strong contender for top 3.
So here we can see the KDA's time flow a little bit worse off in terms of deaths, but you can see they seem to be going into higher XP games overall. They seem to want to play a little bit more for the late game compared to Soa.
Yeah, definitely true. Definitely true. Now, Timeless and Time Flow. Can they turn this around this time, and make a win happen? It's going to be the second victory, I think, because the first victory came in against RPG at the very first playday.
Yeah.
And Soa is an important obstacle to overcome as well in terms of their own ranking.
Yeah, Soa pulling a draw against SPT is a huge deal for them. Able to win against BTG, not able to overcome CE, but that draw versus SPT gives them a great opportunity to try and at least guarantee themselves that third place.
Very true. And for all of you who are brand new to HGC China and who have no idea what Time Flow is all about, because I see a lot of surprised reactions in the chat. It is indeed Timeless X looking for team. He was a Chinese student, spending some time in Europe, dominating the Grandmaster tier in Heroes of the Storm like it was a piece of cake, only to return and become a pro player in China. That's how good he is.
Very true indeed. Now, let's see what he can do as we head into game number 1. The draft beginning, and first ban is going over to Time Flow.
Time Flow. Now, they are a team that we have been criticizing in the past, most importantly because of their one-sided drafting strategies, because it looked like whenever they didn't play their comfort zone, they looked very, very weak and very, very shaky. Now, can they change things up and maybe, summon something out of the books? Remains to be seen.
But now they are hovering over the Dahaka as the first ban, giving them the option to potentially play a Genji or a Hanzo, depending on what Soa ban out. But we have seen repeatedly how badly that can go, as it seems China very much figured out the Hanzo. Very
true. China has found a remedy to the Hanzo. And speaking of the Shimadas, there is both Battle Brothers left for the taking. Now, we're not going to see anyone. Okay. I like it.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. We know that Timeless can have a little bit of an issue in terms of hero pool he feels comfortable with. Garrosh is his go-to. With Soa batting it out, it makes a lot of sense to just get Timeless on whatever his second best hero is to make it so that he doesn't get completely choked out.
And it's a little bit of a contradiction to the way Timeless usually, or originally, had gained a name for himself, right? He was extremely flexible in the way he played the melee assassins and the warriors, but not so flexible in terms of how he actually built them, because he was doing his own thing and he wouldn't listen to anyone telling him to do so otherwise.
Don't need to listen to people if you're right. There's our Hero League logic. So, we see Soa taking a fairly long time with their first two picks here. Greymane I expect to be one of them, as he has been left available. But no, Uther Sonya also very acceptable.
Alright, take notes, ladies and gentlemen, to everybody who complains about a lack of hero variety in HGC China. That's the wrong league to complain about, because we're already starting to see the lack, the missing of both Japanese heroes, Genji and Hanzo.
Completely ignored, despite Hanzo being pretty effective on this map. The scatter arrow build, very good at clearing the objective.
Very true, but there are other heroes that are really strong when it comes to zoning people out, when it comes to dominating those shrine areas. Arthas comes to mind, could actually work as their dedicated bruiser / soul laner as well, if they want ETC to be the main tank. Sonya, of course, benefits from the exact same thing. The life leech, if used on all those skeletons, is just insane.
This is true. This is true. As we do see Greymane coming in, that wasn't too surprising, but it's where we go from here where it starts to get a little bit interesting. A lot more options pop up once the originals are gone, and here we go. Alex Straza coming in for Time Flow. They used it in their first series that they actually played, leading to a very solid win, using the Abundance build to basically give Garrosh the extra speed and give their team the extra healing they needed to get the engage. Garrosh is not available here, but we do know they can play a very solid Alex Straza.
The Queen is back, and I think Infernal Shrines proves to be one of the stronger battlegrounds for her. Not just because she's good at rotating early, but most importantly because she's strong at maintaining control over that shrine. Not necessarily because she causes a lot of problems for the enemy team, but also due to the sheer presence of the Dragon Queen. Oftentimes you will see teams retreat, similar to an Odin Tychus, just because they're so afraid and they're paying so much respect to the increased healing and wave clear and disengage power of the dragon.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. The wind buffet especially can be huge. We saw it used to great effect against the D.Va. Didn't win in the games yesterday, but being able to just wind buffet the D.Va away was quite cool. A interesting trading of cooldowns there.
Also an interesting ban. I mean, Alex Straza was just locked in. Would they have really gone for an Alex Straza Stukov double support backline?
Supported before, so not the most surprising.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of that Stukov ban. Maybe they did play a strategy like that before in scrims or previous matches, but I think it's a little bit of a waste here. But what I do like is the hovering over Tyrael potentially, because Tyrael continues to be such a staple. Anubarak, though, if you've watched previous game between the One and their opponents from Sunny Line, you will see how much impact good old Anubarak can still have. Although he seems like a dusty hero, like an older hero at this point, his kit is still pretty damn powerful.
He is very, very strong, but I'm still not sure how I feel about that being banned out over the Tyrael, considering Tyrael has a 100% win rate here in HGC China.
Very true. And it's not like Infernal Shrines is a bad map for him by any means. Quite the opposite is the case. Like, if you drop a good Sanctification there in the Shrine Zone, or you lock somebody in or out, depending on what your team needs you to do with a Holy Ground, you can still get tons of value in.
Yeah. I mean, I'd stick him up there with Greymane of name a bad map for Tyrael. I don't really think there is one, except maybe Blackhearts, and that's not in the pool.
Thank God. Oh my goodness. don't even get me started on Blackhearts Bay.
Kendrick's having flashbacks to the Nexus games, where his team Germany did win a game on Blackhearts.
That's very true. And I can't say I'm very proud of my German countrymen for doing this, because it was very sneaky, and it was not enjoyable to cast by any means.
Alright, so we have Arthas and Jaina coming in here for Soa, so Tyrael slipping his way through. Soa not on board the Tyrael hype train yet.
Yeah, the Symphony of Frost and Ice is back online here between Arthas and, of course, Jaina. And those two together can make for a very dangerous team composition, because look at the sheer amount of CC that we have right now. There's a little bit of soft CC, the slows coming in, but also the hard CC provided by Uther and Sonny with a mystical spear. And they still have the ranged role open as well, so they could go for something like Vala to lock it out. And there goes the Tyrael, very nicely chosen.
Yep, and Tyker's percentage damage to ignore Arthas's physical armor that he has as a default. And of course, Overkill is very solid for kiting, so gives them good opportunities there. Very much a fan. And also Tyker's one of the few assassins that comes with spell armor with the form of his Neosteel plating talent at level 13. That can be a huge deal when protecting yourself against a Jaina.
And here's the one thing that I'm asking myself right now, Tetcher. If you know, as Team Soa, that you're going for heavy CC, look at the amount of CC they've got, why would you ban the Tyrael? Because Sanctification could literally be the one thing that ruins your day.
Not sure, unless they... Other than the fact that Arthas is not very mobile and they were afraid of Flading Swipe. That's
maybe.
That's the logic I would have to go for.
But they already locked in the Alexstrasza. Either way, it's so weird, and I'm still trying to figure out the sense behind it. But we're gonna take a look now at the final pick for Soa. There is a couple of options, maybe a false stand.
Yeah, they're still discussing. I'm gonna make up their minds. Let's see what we're gonna see.
Well, could be that guy.
He made it in, and Tyrael's in the game, but Tychus does not have the same kind of explosive follow-up to a Tyrael judgment that a Falstad would, and Greymane would have to put himself potentially out of position if we were to see the judgment style.
Alright, last pick Hanzo. Feels good, man. I think somebody was really happy that he still got to play him after all.
Indeed, I expect so. I would agree with you. But I still really like the Tychus pick. I think it's going to give them a lot of counter-objective control with that Odin especially.
I think so too. Odin also makes yourself unstoppable during the transformation process. You have 25 armor to begin with, so that could also be a very useful tool to keep all that CC onslaught that Soa has brought to the table at bay.
Indeed it will. So, which team do you think came out with the better draft overall?
I think personally that Soa's draft is a little bit too predictable. It's a little bit too one-sided. However, it can still work. But I think Alexstrasza, my queen, I do not dare to disobey her. I'm going to go with Time Flow. What about you?
I'm thinking... I do like the Hanzo as this late of a pick. I am a big fan of the Jaina as well. I think Tychus might be a big problem for it. I'm going to go with experience here and lean towards Soa. I think that Timeflow's team is very solid, but I have concerns about Alexstrasza as the solo support when there's that much CC.
Alright, we're gonna find out which draft will reign supreme eventually. For now, we're gonna introduce one of the two new and upcoming teams in HGC China. It is Timeflow, featuring the man, the myth, Timeless on that Tychus this time around, switching from the main tank role. Cat playing ETC this time, 11 on the Greymane, Atui on Alexstrasza being the main support queen, and F-Show on that Tyrael.
And on the right-hand side, it is start over again, with Fei on the Sonya, Uncle G on the Uther, TY on the Hanzo, Clog on the Arthas, and Molly is bringing out the Jaina.
Now, I don't know about you, Tetra, but I am hyped to see some Timeless Assassin play to come in here. The Tychus already could be a strong change of pace, and it's really cool to see how players are switching roles, very different roles from one another in the middle of a playdate. Like, so cool to see.
It is very interesting to see indeed. We'll have to see how well he's able to do to keep himself out of trouble. So that, like I said, there's no cleanse, so a lot of pressure is going to be on Tyrael once he has sanctification for keeping people alive, which is why he has gone for the team-based shielding.
And a lot of it comes down to how well Alexstrasza and Tyrael can... Oh, never mind. Timeless walks into the trap and gets taken out first blood against Timeflow.
A little bit of damage being dropped to 11 and Cat, but they are able to back up out of there without losing any more additional members.
And you gotta be so careful, especially if you're playing competitively, on how teams like Soa will try to set up an ambush there in those little cheeky party brushes. Normally, you're not used to really, you know, experiencing that when you play Team League or Hero League in a more casual environment, but teams who are that good as Soa, they will always try to interrupt your rotations, try to catch off an isolated target, and that's exactly what they did, especially with all the early game CC they have available.
Indeed, it worked out very well for them, picking up that first kill, and like you said, slowing down the rotations a little bit. Cat was thinking about raiding, but his team a little bit slow to react as such. The Bruiser cab... Oh, wait, did Sonya abandon it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so fair enough, the cab is not taken yet. She is back to soak the lane at least a little bit. I thought she might have captured it, but no, it's all good.
Yeah, strong map awareness. I think she was able to destroy one of those Fellhounds, or one of those Devil Hounds. So it's going to be a little bit easier to take later during the game. In the meantime, we see a sneaky Impaler camp being taken here by Team Soa in the bottom lane. Hanzo, of course, even without any of the PvE towns, is so good at clearing those.
We do have Redemption for Hanzo at level 1. He does go for the Explosive Arrow at level 4. Gonna queue down those Shrine minions. Very
nicely done indeed. Now, the point I was trying to make earlier is a lot comes down to the timing and the location of Alexstrasza's abundances, because combine that AoE healing with Tyrael's strong shields, Justice for All, they're going to have so much AoE protection, and the sanctifications later on as well, that could really make or break a team fight in favor of Timeflow against all the AoE stuff that is going to be raining down from Soa.
An excellent point, and once again, it is that surge of vitality with that abundance-based build, the extra movement speed that can be such a huge deal, especially seeing as Tyrael already adds a little bit of extra movement speed.
Now, both teams fairly even on XP, no major advantages to be gained on either side. It's all going to come down who postures up more quickly and in a more favorable position near that shrine. Alexstrasza is already here. She basically has what you could call an heroic ability with the Dragon Queen. The question is, when are they going to use it?
Cat gets rooted, pulling back. But yeah, I agree with you. Alexstrasza's Dragon form is about the equivalent of a mobile Molten Core there. It feels like it has that kind of strength.
Very true.
Big engage onto TY there, but he leaps over the wall and will survive.
11 takes the heal from Abundance, but gets zoned out by Jaina's Blizzard at the same time. And not even the Dragon Queen can keep him alive. A big power slide, though, locking two people down. The healings are too good for Uncle G, though.
Atui's trying to drop the heals onto Cat, but cooldowns are a wonderful thing and a cruel mistress sometimes. And as such, Soa able to get a 1 for 0 and will retake control. Moving in, Cat drops so low, but he is gonna get out, as will Atui.
Ice cold. Arthas lands all of those howling blasts. Wonderfully done. And once you get hit by those, and Jaina is there to follow up as well, you're not going to be able to run away from the Molly. And Soa is just playing this so well.
They really are in dominant control right now. 4 kills to 0, 7 to 6 at the 4.5 minute mark. They are looking good as they will grab the first Punisher of the game. Also, slight talent variation from what we've been seeing recently coming in from the Jaina. I believe that's called Ice Flows.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So we see a huge variety of Jaina builds across the various games here today. Timeflow, they are now in the defense here. They need to do as much as they can to keep the Punisher busy, but with all the might combined by Soa, I don't think they're going to have an easy time doing so. Here comes an Abundance, keeping everybody fresh and sustained, but the Punisher has already done his nasty work, and the top forward falls, and the huge lead and experience for Soa continues to grow.
They are looking good. TY continuing to build up those redemption stacks and also clear the lane with that explosive arrow and punish Tyrael at the same time due to his sharpened arrowheads that he took at level 7.
Boy, oh boy. Timeless is going to have to, get some magic tricks going here because his team is not looking too well. Level 10 is almost there for Soa. And if Timeflow thought it was going poorly already, just wait until you have a potential Ring of Frost, maybe even a Syndragosa if Klong is going super crazy here, if they really want to snowball this game with the next Punisher. But we're gonna find out what Soa has in store right now as they pick the level 10s. No, it's going to be the Army of the Dead, Divine Shield, Dragon's Arrow, and Jaina. I'm watching Jaina very carefully right now.
Jaina is where we could see a bit of a mix-up. I wouldn't mind her holding here, as you see Sonya also holding. There we go, Wrath of the Berserker for Sonya, as Jaina, she is holding. The fact is, if Arthas can land a good route, it's an immediate quick pick for the Ring of Frost so they can follow up.
It wouldn't surprise me if Jaina waited all the way until Tyrael reveals his hand with either Sanctification or Judgment. Because the Ring of Frost could really be countered and shut down by a well-timed Sanctification. So maybe Jaina is trying to make Tyrael go for a reckless call here. Let's see.
Maybe. We will have to see. And she's going to be waiting a while if that is the case, due to the fact Timeflow aren't even level 9 yet. They are seriously having trouble at the moment, as Klong gets delivered.
Oh, the Dragon's Arrow!
The Dragon Arrow was huge into 11 there, and 11 gets taken out.
Now, I've got to tell you, Tetra, that was world-class world-class sequencing here, if you will. The Dragon's Arrow, the Timeless Arrow, hitting perfectly. The Jaina Blizzard was there to follow up immediately as well, and Arthas continued to do his dirty business in the backlines there, preventing anyone from running away too quickly. So, Soa, the way they have communication all over the map, because Dragon's Arrow was a global here as well, is just really, really admirable.
Very solid team execution coming in from them here as Jaina can